Hello, everyone. I'm glad to have everyone here joining DevFest Akoko 2020. Super excited to have everyone viewing us from around the whole world, and I'm super excited to have you join us on the DevFest Akoko 2020. It's another season of DevFest, and as you have all known that it's going all around the whole world, and the excitement has been going on around for the past few months. Yeah, so it's of course we are not late to the part of DevFest, right? Really. So my name is Sukomi Jatuye, and I will be your moderator for today's DevFest Akoko event 2020. Also with me, I have Hariola Nasi, which is the WTM of WTM lead GDG Akoko. Yeah. So I'm glad to have everyone here, and once again, welcome to DevFest Akoko 2020. Yeah. So moving forward, without wasting much of our time, because we need to move as fast as possible. Yeah. So for everyone joining us, we have the hashtags for today, which is DevFest 2020 and #DevFest Akoko. So whenever you make your tweets and every social media, please endeavor to use the hashtags and also tag everyone on the like at tag me on my own Twitter handle at nightworkerjs, and also at Slick and at GDG Akoko handle, please, because we'll be doing giveaways as we move on in the events. So please endeavor to use the hashtags. Yeah. So moving on to the next section. So we have a full DevFest hero video that will be showing to every one of us before the speaker starts giving their talks. So I want you guys to sit back and enjoy the video clip. I believe before the end of this video, you could have a very more elaborate knowledge about DevFest and what it entails and what you are looking forward to gain here. Trust me, being part of DevFest today is not like a waste of time, and it's not like a waste of resources. Yeah, as we have a lot of speakers that is going to like enlighten you more about the latest technology going on around today. So we'll move on to the video, and it's coming up. Yeah, so things that we've just seen. Each year, we feel the anticipation. It's a wonderful series of conferences. I'm glad you join us. The local DevFest event in 2020 is taking place all over the world. What makes DevFest truly unique is that it's run by volunteers. We're all mission to help members.
Have thousands of problems in their local communities. Particularly during the challenging times of COVID, I'm impressed by how much your work has made people's lives better. There's a few recent examples that truly stand out to me. Community developers from GDG West Sweden recently worked with the Swedish government to create Hack the Crisis, an event focused on designing, testing, and executing ideas in response to recent challenges. One of the finalists, named Remote Gigs, helped modernize the Swedish government's employment website to match job seekers with remote work. Nearby in Romania, GDG groups organized a hackathon gathering 270 different mentors and students from across 8 different countries. The hackathon brought together developers to save lives, to save communities, and to save businesses. Some of the winners included an online platform that connected volunteers with nonprofits across the region, a system to help doctors work with each other and to ease online consultations, and a personal assistant for health and nutrition tracking. Another cool app that they developed was Risk Alert, an app that alerts emergency rooms that a patient with a very rare disease is about to arrive, so that the hospital can prepare for any special needs. In Asia, GDG Tainan initiated the mask inventory map at the start of COVID-19, which crowdsources mask inventory from local store data, combining it with the Google Maps API. The project was so popular that it caught the attention of Taiwan's government, inspiring them to publish public data APIs on mask inventory, managed by the government. Taiwan's digital minister has since encouraged the GDG Tainan chapter to create more than 100 different apps to help the local community. In India, GDG Cloud Pune used machine learning with TensorFlow and GCP to help their community with an app that remotely analyzes dental health and helps patients book at-home dental services. They've had over 300 trained images so far, and the developer community is working with local universities to gather more than 50,000 dental images to improve the application. In the Middle East, the region's largest International Women's Day event was held in April in Turkey by multiple GDG groups working together. They had over 2,500 attendees to the event, which included a raffle for online courses and talks in artificial intelligence and data mining. The event helped women across the community and across the region learn and apply their skills. And of course, here in the United States, the GDG Memphis chapter has joined GiveCamp, where software developers in the area donate their skills for nonprofits, as well as helping kids learn to code on the weekends. These are just a small sample of the ways that Google Developer Group chapters and communities like yours all over the world are learning together and giving back what they've learned to really help people's lives everywhere be better. I encourage all of you to continue, be in community with your fellow developers. Think about how can you use the skills and the tech that you're learning this weekend at DevFest, as well as the networks and the communities that you form, the new friends that you make. How do you combine all of these to make a difference in your own area? Now let's take a look at a really inspiring story from Uganda. It shows how a community member started learning about machine learning and ended up building a really nifty app using TensorFlow that detects diseases in plants and helps farmers reduce crop devastation. Take a look.
Growing up in the city, I never expected to work in a brokerage. But when full armyworm attacked, it affected us all. Since its arrival in 2016, this crop pest has caused massive devastation. I've met farmers who have lost everything.
Tulwadde tukozzaako ddagala kulaba nti nakaba okulya eki kasumbi naye akantu ako tekayinza kumalawo obulwadde obusebo
So I wanted to use my skills as a software developer to help. At a Google study jam, we taught ourselves TensorFlow. We started by building an Android app on top of an open source API. The app allows farmers to spot infestations early, far beyond the capability of human eyes, and suggests an effective treatment. When I was younger, I didn't know what I wanted to do. But then I discovered app development, and I was excited to show people something they never thought possible. Machine learning gives us the advantage against fall armyworm, ultimately saving harvests and reducing pesticides.
Kunkyusizaamu kubanga taata abajjajja teyalina ennyumba y'ebbaati. N'ebbaati nazimba ennyumba yange ng'ateetoomye mulina essuubi netufuna embeera ennungi okulima.
We're just getting started, and there are so many other sectors like health and education that machine learning could really improve. Farming is a crucial aspect of life in Uganda, and I feel proud I'm part of the team driving to ensure our culture can continue.
Earlier, you saw a beautiful inspirational video about how machine learning and Android were used to create an app to detect crop diseases. So, for DevFest, I wanted to get together a few of my friends from Google and beyond to show you how you could get started in building something just like that from scratch in a few minutes. We'll build an Android app and a web app. So to get started with Android, let's see what tech can teach us.
I want to create an app that's able to recognize information about plants. It's going to need camera functionality as well as machine learning inference. Let's see what that looks like in code. The app is written in Kotlin and uses Camera X to take the pictures and the ML kit for on-device machine learning analysis. The core functionality is in Take Photo, where we take a picture, analyze it, and display the results. First, we call Take Picture on a Camera X image capture object that was created earlier. One of the parameters is a callback object, which has this on-capture success function. We get the received image into the format we need for ML kit, then we create an image labeler object and process the image. When this succeeds, we receive a collection of image labels, which we turn into text strings and display a toast with the results. Let's see what the demo looks like. So we'll take a picture, and it says, I see an insect in a plant. So that was pretty easy, rigging up Camera X and ML kit to detect arbitrary objects in the camera view. But the results were pretty generic because the data set didn't have enough information about our domain. So let's dig a little deeper.
Okay, let's go deeper. Now we need a model for something very specific. Detecting diseases in bean plants instead of cassava. Let's explore how to build it. On this guide, we'll use some of the great TensorFlow tooling available. Let's start with Colab. You can understand Colab as a cloud-hosted development tool. We will do all our code on it, and we will not need to install anything on your machine. Let's start with a new notebook. Let's just turn the Python to beans. We will need to install some packages that we are going to use later. These packages are not installed on your machine. They are on a cloud machine that was created from your Colab. Nice, it finished installing the packages. Let's download the data and do some visualization to understand how our data is separated. Perfect. We download the data. Let's take a look on some of the images so we can have a better understanding of what we are doing here. Here they are. These are some of the images that will be used for training our model later. Now we have the data. We need to create a model. We are not going to create one from scratch. We are going to use a technique called transfer learning. TensorFlow Hub is a repository for TensorFlow models. You can find all kinds of models here. Let's start with this one. Let's go back to our Colab. Let's define a model handle. Nice. Now we have the data and the base model. How can we do transfer learning? To do that, we are going to use one of the tooling that I mentioned before called Model Maker. Model Maker makes your life way easier when you need to do transfer learning. Let's create the spec for our base model. Let's create our training variables here.
using the dataset beans that we've just seen. And now we're going to put everything together with Model Maker by defining a model with the training data and the spec that we got from TensorFlow. This will take a couple of minutes. We finished training, and as you can see here, our accuracy is at 87%. Of course, let's evaluate the model with some data we didn't see yet and see how good it is. Nice, 95%.
The TensorFlow Lite model Gus just created contains all the metadata Android Studio needs to recognize it and automatically build classes for it. To get started, you can update your build.gradle file to include the following TensorFlow Lite dependencies. Then, you'll want to import your generated TF-Lite file into the ML folder of your project. Let's check out the details of our imported model. From here, we can see an example of how to use the model in our app. Let's move over to the main activity class to take advantage of it. Inside of our image capture callback, here on line number 78, we create an instance of our model. Next, we use it to process the captured image here on line number 84. And finally, here on lines 92 through 98, we display the results of consuming the output inside of a toast message. Let's run our app. Now, instead of telling us it's looking at a leaf or a plant, it can actually tell us if it's looking at a bean leaf and give a diagnosis. Sweet.
So this concept works, but it's very much a raw demo. What if we want to make this a more successful app? Well, we probably need to add services like authentication so our users can sign in, analytics and A/B testing so we can find out how our users are really interacting with our app, some crash reporting or performance monitoring, and an easy way to save our users' data to the cloud. Luckily, that's where Firebase comes in. Now, the new and improved Firebase plugin in Android Studio makes this simple. I'll start by adding some analytics so I can find out exactly how our users are interacting with their app. And the plugin does most of the work to get the library integrated into my project. Now that I've done that, well, we can get an instance of the library up here, and then we can log what kind of results we're getting from MLKit. And then once we've done that, there's a lot of ways to get at this data. It'll start showing up here in the Firebase dashboard, but I find one really fun way of viewing this data is to use Stream View, which kind of gives you a real tiny sample of what kinds of analytics results we're seeing. Looks like I've already recorded several of these select content events, and I can dig into these event properties and see what kinds of results our users are getting, and I can start using that information to maybe refine my MLKit model or A/B test different alternatives. Firebase helps you build better apps, and analytics is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Maybe we could let our users upload their own pictures and store them in the cloud using cloud storage for Firebase. There's so many possibilities.
This is a sample app, but if we were to productize this, it's important to keep in mind how our AI design decisions impact our users. For instance, we need to consider if and or how it makes sense to display confidence intervals to help your users interpret the ML model output. Or say how you design the onboarding experience sets user expectations for the capabilities and limitations of your ML-based app, which is vital to app adoption and engagement. For more guidance on AI design decisions, check out the People Plus AI Guidebook at para.withgoogle.com/guidebook. This use case focuses on plant diseases, but for other use cases where our ML-based predictions intersect with people or communities, we absolutely need to think about responsible AI themes like privacy and fairness, which you can learn more about at tensorflow.org/resources/responsible-AI.
And don't forget about the web. I built a clean way that can be installed across all your users' platforms. It combines the web camera with TensorFlow DX, and by integrating machine learning, we can make an amazing experience that runs across all browsers. Now let's take a look. We have our standard project layout with a HTML file, a manifest, and a service worker to make it appealing way. We have some style to make it look good, and our data folder that contains our TensorFlow configuration and trained model that we're going to be using now. Now to the heart of the project. Let's go back to the HTML file and see what's happening. We're also loading the webcam object. This is just a class that wraps some boilerplate logic to make it easier to pass camera data from user media to TensorFlow. And now let's dive into our app logic in index.js. So I'm just going to use Chrome and the debugger here. And this is only so you can kind of see how easy it is to integrate machine learning into your application. So let's get started by clicking the classify button, get the machine learning gears into action, and immediately we break into the TensorFlow tagging function. This is just there to help you kind of clean up any of the memory that TensorFlow uses whilst it makes prediction. We get our image from the web camera, and then we pass our image back into the machine learning algorithm to make it a prediction. And once we've got a prediction, we access the data, and then we can use that data to update the user interface kind of based on any application logic that you want. And that's pretty much it.
Great. So now you have the platform for building a real app. With the tooling from Android Studio, the APIs from CameraX, Jetpack, MLKit, Colab, TensorFlow, Firebase, Chrome, and Google Cloud, you have a lot of things that just work better together. This isn't a finished project by any means, just a proof of concept for how a minimum viable product with a roadmap to completion can be put together using Google's developer tools and APIs.
You might also want to open source this project too, so developers can suggest improvements, optimizations, and even additional features by filing an issue or sending a pull request. It's a great way to get your hard work in front of even more people. We'd love to help you with this, and you can learn more about the process at opensource.guide/starting-a-project. Indeed, we've already open sourced the bean disease sample we discussed in this video, so you can have a great place to start.
Thanks, Pooja. And as you mentioned, open sourcing a project is a great way to make it grow and inspire people to adopt and extend it. If you want to learn more about what you've seen in this video, please visit us at developers.google.com.
Hi developers, my name is Annie Jean-Baptiste, and I'm the head of product inclusion at Google. The demo you just saw shows how Google's products can come together to create an amazing app. But what about product inclusion? You may be wondering, well, what is product inclusion and why is it important? At Google, we believe that giving power to new voices is the core of innovation. When we bring an inclusive lens to the product design process, we amplify underrepresented voices and allow all users to feel seen and validated in the moments that matter for them. We look beyond ourselves and seek out diverse voices to shape the products that we build. We also believe that we have a responsibility not to disappoint our users, no matter who they are, what they look like, how much money they make, who they love, how old they are, or anything that makes them them. And when we make difference the new normal, we will usher in new opportunities to grow our business by earning the love of all of our users. So whether you're 1 or 105 years old, live in a city or a remote village, on Wi-Fi or cellular service, Google is there for you to make sure you have the answers you need when you need them. Product inclusion is exactly what it sounds like, bringing an inclusive lens throughout the entire product design process to create more inclusive products for our users. And so when you're developing your own apps, I challenge you to incorporate the principles of product inclusion into the design process. Because we believe that you can do well and do good by being intentional about including underrepresented voices at key points in the product design process. Remember, those closest to the problem are also closest to the solution. You can learn more about product inclusion at Google by visiting accelerate.withgoogle.com. Thanks. Hi everyone, my name is Jen Cole, and I'm the Global Developer Communities Program Manager at Google. Now it's time to meet and hear from your local developers. So, what can you expect next from your local DevFest? We'll have technical talks, breakout sessions, networking opportunities, and more. These sessions will cover a variety of technologies, such as Android, Google Cloud Platform, machine learning with TensorFlow, web, Firebase, Google Assistant, and Flutter, with speakers from Google, women tech makers, Google developer experts, and your local community. Be sure to claim your badge for participating in DevFest 2020 by going to google.dev/DevFest2020. You can earn even more badges by mastering different Google technologies available on developers.google.com/learn. As a reminder, one of the most important parts of DevFest is providing an inclusive and harassment-free experience for everyone. As an active participant of DevFest, today we can all agree to treat everyone with respect and to speak up if we see or experience harassment of any kind. Together, we can create an environment that is welcoming and inclusive to everyone with us here today. Follow @GDG on Twitter for highlights from DevFest around the world, and try out the DevFest AR filter and avatar. Share what you're learning or your favorite part about the event on social media with #DevFest. And lastly, don't forget community is all about getting to know one another. Use the virtual breakout rooms and chat feature to connect with other developers near you with shared interests. We hope you enjoyed DevFest 2020.
Okay, that's a very great one. From the video, I believe we've learned a lot of things, and so we'll be moving next to the next. We'll be moving to the next session. So to the next session now, we'll be moving to the keynote session, where we'll be having an ED to kickstart the keynote session to launch the event fully. Open the floor for other speakers and open more enlightenment about what DevFest is all about and how we are going to be stronger and better together. And that's what DevFest is all about. And over to Anyedi.
All right. Thank you very much. First of all, I want to say that I really like the theme of the DevFest this year chosen by GDG Akoko, about stronger together, better together. And I think there really isn't a better time to really talk about how we are stronger together and better together than this year of 2020, which has been one of the most, I would say eventful and confusing years. I don't really have a keynote to give, so I would rather say I have maybe like an opening remarks or welcome remarks, but I'll share a few things, and I hope that by the end of today, we'll just get a little bit of inspiration and some ideas behind what we are up to. So if I can share my screen and see if this works. Let me know if you can see my screen. Does that work? I just want to confirm that my screen is being shared. Okay, so like I said, my name is Anyedi Udobong, and I work on the developer relations team at Google. Primarily, our team interacts with developers all over the world through various programs. And these programs are really designed to ensure that we can provide a little bit of support, a little bit of help, a little addition to make it easier for developers to succeed or just to get to the next level of their career. So whether you're just getting started or you're going from getting started to becoming an intermediate developer, or you're already there and you just need a little bit of information, some resources and some connection to either become an expert, find a good job, or just find a community where you can ask people for information and you're more likely to get it. So I think that whole story of togetherness is really part of parcel of what we really try to do. We try to bring people together. And the GDG program, the Google Developer Groups, part of one of our programs, like you might have heard of DSC, which is Developer Student Clubs, and things like Women Tech Makers and Google Startups, Google for Startups, and also the Google Developer Experts Program. These are the groups under which we've been working together and delivering some level of value for all community members who care to join or participate in our events. So that's really what the developer relations team at Google is. There are other aspects of developer relations that have to do with things like writing documentation, or writing tutorials, supporting people through forums or Stack Overflow, partnering with people like Udacity, Coursera, Udemy to record video tutorials that are broadcast on YouTube or on these learning platforms. So it's kind of a broad range of disciplines and skills. But for my team, we've really focused on a couple of key programs, and GDG is one of them. Within GDG, DevFest is our annual event. Some say it's an abbreviation of Developer Festival, but it's more like a celebration and really a coming together of different developers speaking about different topics and basically sharing what they've been up to over the last 1 year. So I looked at this picture from the 2019 year in review, and this really, gladdens my heart and gives me some nostalgia, looking at all the events that GDG Akoko has been up to. This was just in 2019 from the review I saw, but over the years, there have been amazing events from DevFest Akoko, and I really want to thank the organizers, the leaders, who have really done a great job of making Akoko and Ondo State stand out with this GDG Akoko. I do remember that I think in 2018, I think so 2018, you had one of the largest DevFest, and even when you have clusters, you're always very active around the communities and the other GDGs that are there. So really the spirit of DevFest is, yes, we come to learn, we come to pick up technical skills, but more importantly, we come to connect, we come to network, we come to be in touch with one another and continuously inspire us for another year as we make plans. And while this is something that would have been lovely to have this year, unfortunately, this year has been a very different year. So I got this photo of CNN, and it really touches on a number of issues that are kind of like dear to me. This is a standard appearance these days. You look at cinemas, halls, churches. I mean, we're coming out of a situation, and I would just talk a little bit about some of the words that have become part and parcel of our day or our lives over the last 7 to 9 months. But if we look at this carefully, there's a lot. Like I said, the picture has it's worth more than 1,000 words. A lot of industries, entertainment, events, conferences have been affected by what everyone has come to call the new normal. So venues are struggling. People are not coming together. Even now, when maybe lockdown has been lifted, or the pandemic is in quote over, or COVID-19 is not being taken as seriously as before, or people are even like, you know what? Yes, COVID-19 is there, but I could also die of hunger or out of lack of economic opportunity or work. But speaking, everything has really changed. For many of us as developers, we may have just seen a bit of an increase in the number of calls we make, the number of communications we have over WhatsApp, the number of webinars, and sometimes they're just too many that we now attend. We may have cut back on some of the things we used to do before, and it has been different. But if you look on the other side of the divide, there are people who are not used to this lifestyle at all, connecting online, trying to do work online, trying to learn online, trying to earn money online, trying to make friends online, trying to find love online. A lot has really changed. And for many of us who are in the software and technology industry, it almost seems like, to some extent, maybe we're 30%, 50%, or 60% prepared for this eventuality. But what this has also made us realize is that here in the problem, or in the situation or the scenario, is a whole bunch of opportunities. We've heard of companies that are completely going remote. Now, we know that in our region, and first of all, speaking about DevFest Akoko, which was also postponed, we have all sorts of challenges all across Africa and interestingly in America. This has been a period of things like elections, we've got riots, we've got protests, we've got added that to even like the lockdown and other things. It has been a time of uncertainty. And now we're hearing of companies working remotely. Companies are saying they will work remotely forever, or they will put the remote work option there, indefinitely, or maybe even forever. So which means that for a profession, a discipline, an industry like software development and technology, this is kind of like an opportunity for us. In Nigeria, more and more businesses, even governments, are beginning to do things online. We are seeing something as interesting as the Federal Executive Council going virtual, which means if you're a DevOps engineer, a network engineer, an IT engineer, within government, within the public sector, a lot of businesses that were not interested in tech or technology are almost compelled to switch to this new way. And in switching to this new way, they've realized that, maybe there are even some advantages, or they can amplify their productivity, or for businesses, they can reach more customers, not only them walking into their offices or walking into their shops. So whether it's e-commerce, e-governance, remote health, there's a lot of opportunities. And the tools we have, the skills we have are really, really, really finding opportunity there. Now, are some of the things we've gotten used to that we've almost, I would say, adapted to? Very typical with Nigeria with our shock absorber mentality. Lockdown. For months, we were stuck at home, but many of us took advantages of opportunities provided by Google, Microsoft, Facebook, Coursera, Udacity, Udemy to really level up on our skills. There were a lot of free courses, free coupons, and even though it was a bit challenging, many of us were still able to join some of the existing programs. We're able to connect with speakers far and wide. We're able to join events in other countries that sometimes those events wouldn't have been online. So we interacted with speakers, developer advocates, got a little more information, connected with a few more attendees from across our borders during this whole lockdown period. So it wasn't convenient. It was very stressful. It has affected our events. Our events don't look like 2 slides ago when we're all coming together, but we've gotten to adapt to it. So yes, new vocabulary, new words came into our thinking, came into our discussions. Pandemic. Of course, probably was a word that I knew, but never really affected me. I didn't even know what the impact of such a thing would be. But we've tried to adjust. I'm taking in this call, DevFest Akoko, from my bedroom, from my daughter's bedroom. Ideally, I had been looking forward to a time where I would join GDG Akoko or come to Ondo State for an event such as DevFest. And much as I've been postponing it this year, even though I'm part and parcel of DevFest Akoko, this is not how I intended to be part of it. We've also heard about social distancing. Now, just looking at these 3 words that have come from nowhere into our vocabulary, it really says a lot about how quickly things can change and why it is important to be prepared for those changes. So if you're prepared for those changes, if you know how to work online, if you know how to connect online, you already have an advantage, and you absolutely can take advantage of your advantage. For instance, a lot of us are very conversant about the company Zoom. Thousands of people, a few of us in the IT industry probably knew about Zoom last year, early in the year. But all of a sudden, apart from the fact that the business has earned tons in terms of money, in terms of valuation, in terms of multiplication of value for the founders and the owners and the investors, it has also come to the limelight of people who wouldn't have done it before. I've attended public hearings, government meetings, even things from NIDA in Abuja, all being streamed or connected, or having even Nigerian ministers come on Zoom just to interact with people, giving an opportunity for our voices to be heard, and also letting people realize that to get things done, you don't have to go all the way to Abuja or fly to another city. Doesn't mean that only those in Lagos will get all the opportunities. Now, opportunities are being spread in a more open and democratic way. We do realize that there are challenges. Earlier today, I was speaking with the people from Tanzania, and I think the internet is blocked in their country. So some of them have had to connect with VPN and other things just to get online. This is as a result of things around civil unrest or government clampdowns or whatever the situations may be. But the point is, in challenges, there are huge opportunities. One industry that I think is big in Nigeria, and everybody can admit, is fintech and payments. The ability to go cashless. When there was a lot of talk about cashless Nigeria and online payments 3-4 years ago, and people started switching, and there were all sorts of, I would say, decrees, acts or policies around this. Many of us, in quote, took this for granted, or were a bit reluctant, or we said, oh, it's only going to work in Lagos and Abuja and maybe Port Harcourt. I'm not saying that the infrastructure is all there yet, but the truth is, with these new words like pandemic and lockdown, things around deliveries, things around ride sharing, things around e-commerce, things around payments became part and parcel of our consciousness. And without doubt, it's very obvious why one of the biggest success stories out of our ecosystem drove an enormous amount of value. We've all heard about Paystack, the great work done by Shola, Ezra, Okpe, Emmanuel, and the entire team, Khadija, and all that. Amazing. So the point is, in the midst of challenges, if you have the right skills, if you continue building your skills, you can build an immense amount of value. Paystack literally went from 0 to a $200 million acquisition in less than 5 years. 2015, 2016, this is 2020. So I was listening to a live webinar yesterday from Tech Cabal in which Tomiwa was interviewing the CEO of Paystack, Shola. So I'll tell you, he's a product guy. He wants to solve problems. Every day he's talking to businesses that want to get paid, that want to pay, that want to sell their goods. And at the bottom of his heart, he doesn't take himself as the most fantastic developer in the world or whatever. He also had doubts about his abilities and his skills. But by collaborating, by building a team and looking at a problem, they built a $200 million, as at now, according to, information that is out there and its value, that has, first of all, attracted a lot of attention from Y Combinator, from Stripe, from lots of investors. A lot of local investors have also, in quotes, exited or cashed out on their business. So I want us to just remember that our industry is that industry where you can build from scratch. You can take your knowledge, combine it. DevFest is not going to give you all you need. GDG is not going to give you all you need. You're going to piece all these things together: webinars, lectures, stocks from speakers, tutorials. All these things you will assemble together to start building skills and abilities that you can use. Now, when you turn that and focus it on solving a problem, whether it's GovTech, we've seen a lot of mobilization in the civic space, even the NSAS protests that got us affected. We saw how technology was used to mobilize, finance, create a little bit of buzz, and then in many ways was kind of instrumental to even the success. And now that we're talking about the aftermath, people are bringing technology into the whole process of finding answers, healing, recuperation, investigation, and so on and so forth. So in my final analysis, we've watched the video, we've seen how so many integrated technologies from within and outside Google can piece together to help you build the back end, the front end, and even the services for your app. Everything is also changing. Now we're talking about things on the cloud, hosting things. If you're into machine learning or data science, you would realize that some of the strongest devices or configurations you can have to get started don't necessarily have to be your local machine. You can just use something like a Jupyter notebook or Colab and connect to a server, and then literally have the environment of the PC and all that computing power that is not generally available to you. And then even if you're just using cloud, you can go into the cloud, spin up a virtual machine. We're even going beyond cloud now to talk about things like serverless, where you can literally get a function to run on the computer and only execute when an event happens. So if something, an email comes or a tweet, or you detect something, or someone signs up on your website, you don't even have to completely set up the other machine. You can get a piece of code to run and trigger out another service or an API to make things work. So all I've tried to summarize for you is that we do find ourselves in an unusual situation. But if we come together, if we use all the technologies and the opportunities we have together, and we understand that things may not necessarily go back to normal, but as things have changed and as our modalities have changed, it has also created opportunities in government, in technology, and in our space. And we are the most in the pole position to benefit from these changes. So once again, as we go into this, I just want to thank everyone for being part of DevFest and DevFest Akoko. It's been a pleasure to just tell you or share some of the perspectives of things I've been thinking of. It goes beyond what language or what framework, what's coming out, looking at the bigger picture, because it's not just the code you write that will make you successful or put $200 million in your pocket or some money in your pocket after 4 or 5 years. It's really looking at the big picture and realizing that the way things have changed for an industry like ours that we're interested in, we're actually being positioned to take better advantage of the value that is created, the opportunities that are being created by the changing things and some of the problems that exist around us. So thank you. Hope you have a great DevFest. Hope you pick up 1 or 2 things. Hope you connect with each other on other parts of the networking platform, on the stream, in the chats. And I do hope you make the best, as our team does whatever we can to provide you with resources to succeed. You also make it easier and more fulfilling for your organizers to see you succeed and for the whole community to succeed once and stronger and better together. Thank you very much. And I'll be on the side just watching a few sessions before I go on to other things. Once again, thank you.
believe that's really gone a long way in terms of enlightening the audience and everyone out there about what DevFest is all about and the challenges so far. We really appreciate that for your kind words all over the presentation. That's a very wonderful one. Thank you so much, Aniedi.
Thank
we'll be moving on to the next session. So bye. We'll be moving on to the next session. Well, we'll be bringing, before we move on to that session, so I believe everyone has been cheered up enough with Aniedi's presentation. I believe that one has gone a long way, really. For me, I believe I've been able to learn so much. So try to, on this event today, you meet new people. The fact that it's virtual doesn't mean we can't still do what we are doing offline. So we can still do that right here. So try to network with people on the chat session. You could do that. You can make friends and get their contacts, and you can take it up from there. So DevFest, as Aniedi has declared, I believe you guys have learned. So moving on to the next section, I'll be bringing Carlo to the next session. So we'll be handling the next session where we'll be having to talk about the new thing, the new level in Google Build Action. So you'll be telling us how we could know how to build action. For those people that I believe in one way or the other we've come in contact with build actions, like OK Google. Yeah. So we are going to that session now, whereby we'll be looking at what has changed, what is the new thing, the next level in build action. Carlos, are you on the line yet? Okay. Hi, Carlo. Your mic is muted. Yeah. Hi.
Hi everyone. Thanks for the opportunity today.
Yeah, welcome to the session. Thanks for joining us.
Okay. It's here too. Hi everyone. First of all, thanks for the opportunity today. I am excited to this day, and many thanks to the Akoko GDG all the team for the opportunity. It's great what you do for the community, right? After all, sharing what we know is great. It's a way we grow as individual professionals. So today I have a topic for you. Maybe you know the Google Assistant, taking your action to the next level, get into Action Builder, a new tool for build our actions. But okay, we can start. A little about me. I am Android developer. I love Android. Someone saying, "What are you doing in Assistant?" Because around 2016, when I saw the Google I/O in that jar, I we for first time, how do Google Assistant can improve our life? So for that reason, I start to research and try to get more information about this new platform, Google Assistant, and how to build application for that. So actually, I working as in the mobile areas. I part of the GDG Cloud Lima. You could search us in the network, please. And I am part of the Google Developer Expert Program too. So that's about me. If you want to talk later, maybe you could search me in our platform as a Toure, in GitHub, Medium, even LinkedIn. In Twitter, I have a problem because the name Toure was taken, so I had to add underline score for give this name. But today we are not talking about me. We are talking about Google Assistant. We all know the typical machine about, hey, Google talk about something. Hey, Google give me information about, I don't know, the weather, my task, my schedule. It's a personal, a virtual assistant that allows to us to interact with all the APIs of Google. So, but it is not the final step. We say, how can go ahead more? How can I improve this kind of option for Google Assistant? That is why I'm talking today about how to create your own application for the Google Assistant. But we need to talk about why we do this. Why is a motivation? you know, there are approximately 2 billion people with maybe a visual impairment around the world. Not it's all about the visual. You have there are another people with injuries, spinal cord, sclerosis, cerebral palsy, Parkinson, etc. So this is a reality. If we talk about numbers, we talk about 1 people, 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 1 billion approximately and more. These are data from the 2018 from the OMS. Why I'm talking about you from that? Because when I am talking about, okay, making a great application, all people think, oh, application, okay, maybe an application in Kotlin, maybe an application in Swift, in Flutter could be. A great application with great graphics, great performance, great, I don't know, navigation could be. But what about other people I am talking before? What about if you have a close friend, familiar, with maybe a difficult visual or a basic, difficult physical motor, for example? They don't have the opportunity or maybe the abilities to improve, to interact with our application, because an application is not a graphic user interface in a mobile. An application is a way we create, we as a developer create a tool for interact between a problem, a solution, and us. For that reason, I am talking today about actions on Google, on the another way to say voice user interface. And why we are talking about voice user interface? Because the conversation is more natural for us. We are not born from our mother's womb by logging my user password in some graphic interface in some cell phone. No, no. We are born in doing some kind of crying in the most cases, because again, the conversation is the most natural for us. So when we are talking in maybe devices to develop a voice user interface app, we are thinking in Alexa, maybe in Siri of Apple, or in this case, Google Assistant. It's important to talk about this because we have the opportunity to think out the box and not always, okay, make a great application today for Android, for iOS, in Kotlin, in Flutter. Again, there are many frameworks for create great user interface. I don't say that it's bad, it's cool indeed, but we also need to see in another people that can interact very well with application. That is what I want to tell us my motivation for do Google Assistant apps, because I changed the paradigm for build only GUI apps, graphic user interface apps. I have the motivation to write voice user interface apps. And this is a great first step, because for example, when you are developing for Android, okay, I developing for Android or for iOS. No, when you are developing for Google Assistant, you are developing for a big ecosystem. Google Assistant is distributed in Android phones, iOS phone, maybe Pixel books, Android TV, Android Auto, smart speakers, smart earphones, wearables, etc. It's a great ecosystem to start with this kind of platform. So for finally this part, I want to say, maybe people say, oh, the technology. Yeah, the technology is what created to make our life easier. Not just that, the technology could be for empowering the people, maybe with difficult physical difficulties to perform everyday tasks. I have my grandmother. She's not here with us, but I remember her because she has difficult for problem in her knees to stand up and maybe turn on off the lights, or maybe take with her hands the newspaper, or maybe open a computer and search about seismic, because I'm from Peru. In Peru, there are many seisms, earthquakes, a little earthquakes all days. So she want to know, oh, where is the last earthquake, maybe the last saint, okay? But with her hands, she can search that in Google, or maybe stand up again and look for the newspaper and try to do that little task as a turn off a light, as a search information at Google that could be looks like normally for us, for another people it's not. So it's another reason, or maybe another motivation for do a voice application, empowering people to do his normal task. Well, as in the Google I/O 2018, make good things together. We are a community and we can grow together. Well, and that's all. What is my motivation to start to talk about today about action of Google application for the Google system? What is the path or the journey that the user says when I start to talk about Google system? Well, first the user says a query. Maybe when say, hey Google, give me some information about anything, or hey Google, what is today in my calendar? I don't know. There is a query. The query could be with your voice, or if you are using a smart display, if you are using your phone, iOS, Android could be iPhone too. You can use the graphic interface for Google Assistant too. But the main idea here is you could use this user query in voice of a graphic user input, and Google Assistant process this in his engine of NLU, natural language understand. That is converted in a user input and pass it to a conversational action, our application, and return as a way as a response. Action will process again this response and show us in different ways. If we are using a smart speaker, that show us maybe a sound response, audible response. And if we are using a smart display, maybe or our phones, they show Google Assistant show us maybe a graphic card, another kind of response. But this, in simple words, all the path the action on Google throw between the user, our action, and Google Assistant. And talking about natural language understand, what kind of part we are talking about here? We are talking about identify intents, the way of all the Google Assistant match what he can do. For example, I am talking from an application for restaurants. Here, restaurant, give me the prices for a soup. Maybe I want to buy a soup, and the action responds. But what about see I talking to the same action about restaurant? Please give me information about the last bike, ride bike, or mountain bike. The application doesn't know how to respond to us. So this, when I say identify intents, the capabilities of our intent in our action to respond us. Obviously, this pastoral provide training phrases on how the engine of our natural language understanding engine in Google System improve their capabilities. And last one, with that, with identify intents and provide training phrases, Google Assistant can expand his comprehension. We can do that. How? Someone said me too, why need to provide training phrases or try to identify intents? What is important? Google Assistant do that? Yes, can do that alone, but there are many ways to say something even in Spanish. I'm a native Spanish. Many ways to say something in English. For example, when I am talking, okay, yes, do it, fine, Raja, okay, of course, yeah, sure, go ahead, copy that, vale, that's in Spanish. Órale, some friends in Mexico say that. All right, yep, correct, why not? The same way to say on to another person an affirmative response, okay, yes, there could be expressed in many ways. For that reason, we have to not process that with and if else, if we are talking in code, if else the user say do it, if the user say yes, or the user say correct, why not? Do that. No, for that reason, we have in the necessity to have a natural language engine for process all this information. That's not all. They are all not real life cases, as in understand interruption when someone cut off your conversation, a lot for cars, I don't know, noise in the sound. It's important to take in mind all this situation, because when you are develop an action, your action could be affected by external topics. Wait, okay, so we are talking all this and create a conversation model. To create our conversation model, we have to process the user input in the natural language understanding engine, as I told you, of Google Assistant, and then generate a response, our conversation logic. But how can we do that? Well, we have Dialogflow. Dialogflow is a good NLP platform, natural language platform for throw good, in fact, together with Google Assistant. That is the platform. But from about started this year, Google created his own platform for develop our action. And why? Because Dialogflow is bad? No. The problem is Dialogflow is thinking to develop chatbot. Chatbot is not the same to create an assistant than a chatbot. It could be improved. Maybe orientated to create an assistant application, but there's a difference between an assistant and a chatbot. So Dialogflow gives us this kind of path to create intents, to create maybe entities, knowledge engine, and provide a machine learning engine too, very powerful in the Google Cloud, but not always responds all the way we are thinking as a conversation in this platform. Maybe another reason why we changed from Dialogflow to this platform I talk to you today. So Dialogflow is not migrating about Actions Builder platform. About it's a web IDE, a new IDE for develop actions. Dialogflow is that? No. Just the Google team for Actions create this new build, this new platform for improve how we develop our actions. So talk about Action Builder. Action Builder is a great tool when we can to develop, test, and deploy our actions in one place. Remember Dialogflow, we have to develop in Dialogflow. Where is? Okay. We have to then click in integration, click in test in Google Assistant, and return to the action on Google Console platform. And we have to are playing between two platforms, right? But with Action Builder right now, we have three options to develop, test, and deploy in only one platform. And the best part of this, we have a conversational flow. This is different to have our intents in one line. And we have graphically how our action is moving through the conversation. And what about the main feature of Dialogflow? Create a unique machine learning model in Google Cloud. Well, that kind of feature is maintained right now in Action Builder 2. You create your own machine learning engine for each different projects. It's provided in Google Assistant 2. And have your debugs tool in the same platform. For example, I have, this is the console of action on Google, the classic that doesn't change. But for example, I've talked in this project, I have the classic enter, but I have the option I mentioned to you, develop, test, and deploy. Maybe click in the first one, it have, in this time, a graphic, a way to see how our action is started. For example, here say, when user says, hablar con pre-OpenLab, or talk to test OpenLab. It's a name of a random application I create for test actions. But we know how is the flow, how is the path of our action. Action Builder show us where start the action, when next, and where this later. So we can start our main invocation, put a name for our invocation. We can continue and create an an action or maybe a task for what happened when the user says, talk with my action. Oh, okay, I can continue with another thing. We are talking about anything later. We say different option, what happened with enter, condition, how to manage the intent of the user. So we have all together in the same platform. Instead of dialog flow, we have to play in between two platforms and try to understand in what line flow. And in this time, we have a graphic flow for see how is the path, the journey of our actions. Well, this is the platform we can see right now. Okay, Action Builder have the capabilities to profile your user inputs and generate a response. We have new concept here, intent and type. Well, that is not new. And we have to migrate to scenes and prompts. That's all the concept we are talking today. And if you are saying what kind of difference have between Dialogflow and Action Builder, for example, if you are talking before here with Dialogflow, doesn't matter. There are many similar concepts as entities, but right now it's calling types. We have response, and now as our prompts. So that is the equivalent. If you don't, where is my entities? No, right now it's called types. And where is my response? Well, right now it's called prompts. But when we are talking about intent, we have another similarities. We have training phrases, parameter annotation when we capture some words of our intent or phrase. How is in Action Builder? The same. Does not change. The intent maintain their training phrases and parameter annotation. But here we start to change a little. The intents before in Dialogflow have the capability for training phrases, parameter annotation, as we said, the manage of the context, create or set our webhooks, and make a response, right? But in Action Builder, that's called a scene. And this thing have the state management, webhook, prompts, and that is different because the manage of the context is not already in the side of the intent, is in this moment in the scenes. What does mean? What does mean a scene? A scene represents a state of your conversation. We can return to the example of the restaurant. When you are talking about first thing, if we are develop an application in Dialogflow, we have to take the order in a restaurant. Please, I want to order a soup. We have to take the order, ask about if you want to pay with cash or our digital way, or maybe a credit card. Another that's one intent, take the order. Another intent to take the way of pay. Another intent to say maybe, do you want anything else? Maybe a juice, maybe a dessert. And so we are talking about three different intents. And in the Dialogflow, to say to our application, they are part of the same context. We need to pass through these intents a context. But with the Actions Builder, we change this part. We change in a scene. What is our first thing in this case? To take a command for the restaurant. Take our order. Take our way of pay, bill, digital, cash, maybe credit card, and maybe ask for another dessert. So the things now is maybe how do intents can capture the information, but in the same context. The things now contain our intents, and a thing can invoke another thing. But even the intent for one thing can invoke another thing. Finally, if we are already complete all the path of how to build a scene and how to ask something to the user, they ask to the user, okay, this is your information you are looking for. Dialogflow, again, with information about the intent, you say, oh, but I put in my intent, my phrases training, maybe another phrase training, our webhooks, right? Okay, but when we are talking about the scenes, just the scene contain the intent and their training phrases, but the webhook is outside of div. Why? Because we are developing one intent, one webhook, sorry, one function webhook for one intent, another webhook function for another intent, and then. So to change that, dialog action will say, okay, we need to build one webhook that we can manage our essence without don't create unnecessarily webhooks for one context. That's the way how to you manage all in one essence. So now we have, for example, two intents, one webhook, and that webhook can respond to both with the same information. Maybe if you are imagining you are processing about how to say thank you, and you are in the intent for paying or another intent for ask for a dessert, both can say thank you, and it's not necessary to create two webhooks for each different intent. You can say the same information in one intent. The cloud architecture is maintained because you can use for deploy your webhooks cloud functions, cloud function in Google Cloud, in Fibers. You can use app engine, for example, app engine for develop in Java or in another language. You can use a Stackdriver to manage the logs and errors in your application, and maybe connect with another cloud function to deploy some information. Also, you can ask external APIs or to make requests or make additional information that you can manage in your code and make it with another external API. So that's why Action Builder changed a lot today, because they giving us the capability or thinking not in a one line of intents. Instead of, we have a graphic flow completely to see how all the journey of about action on Google. Also provides with this launch with Action Builder and Actions SDK for do that. For finally, what about Dialogflow? Is dead? Dialogflow is not dead, it's between us. Remember when you create an application in the console of Action Google, in a little part in the bottom of the page, we are saying Dialogflow, because Dialogflow is available to develop an Action Google too. It's not a problem, but Google recommend to use Action Builder. That means that your currently Dialogflow apps in Actions is dead? No, but again, it's recommended to migrate to the new platform for these new features and concepts. So Dialogflow is not dead. In fact, evolved in a new platform called Dialogflow CX and Dialogflow Essentials. Very similar to Action Builder, but we have another feature here and maybe another tag to talk about this. Here's the links of the communities for Google. We can you can search Ash in Reddit, in Twitter, in Medium, all the thing of Actions, and that's all. Thanks to you for the opportunity. I know that is very quickly. Maybe we can do workshop later, but I very happy you for the opportunity to stay with you today. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Tori, for the wonderful session. That has really been so great. And thank you for enlightening us on the next level in Action Build. And I believe that, I don't know what's, probably, of course, there's going to be a question and answer session soon. After this, the next speaker, we're going to have a question and answer. So such that we'll be able to, I believe that the audience has a lot of questions about the next level in Build Action. And I believe we would love to talk about it and answer the questions. So before we move on, I will quickly just chip this in. So my own action, I don't know, probably you guys have learned something from Carlos' talk. For me, I think I've learned a lot, and I believe everyone has next action ways now to talk about. So you can connect with Carlo on Twitter at Tore. So if you could follow him as well, I strongly recommend that you follow him. Yeah, I strongly recommend that you follow him so that you could, if you have any follow-up questions or enlightenment, or you could be able to connect with him and ask him personally. Yeah. So I believe his DM is open to attend to questions. Yeah. So moving on, we'll be moving on to the next session. I wish I could have my second moderator around. Okay, I think she's online. Oh, she's not online at the moment. So I'm the one, we're among to the two that handling this today, but due to network challenges, so we couldn't have Nasi on the call. So the next section we'll be moving on with is Jocheng. Let me quickly share his profile on the screen. Yeah. So
hi.
Yeah, let me quickly share the profile. Just hang on. Give me. Yep. So let me reshare that again. Let me share my screen again. Sorry about that. Yeah. Okay. The next section now is Jochen. I believe she's already on the call with us. And before you're moving into his session properly, I will quickly just do a little brief introduction. He'll be talking on best practices for building a user engaging actions on Google. Yeah. So a little bit about Jochen. Jochen is the founder and CEO of ANSI GmbH, an agency that consults on builds and maintain conversational interfaces for companies such as Allianz, BMW, ShareNow, Red Bull, Hedica, and Deutsche Telekom. Prior to starting ANSI in Berlin, Germany, Jochen worked as a developer and technical lead at startups in Japan, Singapore, and the US. He holds degree from Western Michigan and Harvard University, and is one of 40 Google developer experts for Google Assistant worldwide. What a great profile! Yeah. Jochen, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you.
All right. So let's bring Jochen on the call to share us tell us more about actions on Google, and looking at the past experience, I believe we'll get the best from him today. Yeah. Over to you, Jochen.
All right. Well, thank you very much for that amazing introduction. It always feels a little strange when other people talk about you in that way. But thank you, and thank you everybody else from DevFest, Aoka. Let's get started. How I got started with voice, actually how I wanted to start talking about it. I'm a developer by heart. I've been programming since I was a child. My dad taught me how to program. My dad is also a programmer. And I always loved building games, like most of us. And I developed more games than I actually played by myself. One thing I have to admit, I'm absolutely horrible with UX and like anything visual. So all the Android apps I was building, they just didn't look very good. Almost nobody played them except like my group of friends. And it's hard. It's like it was a special thing to do, and I was always looking for a new way to build games. While I was living in Boston and going to school there, Amazon invited a bunch of people over to their facilities over there, and they had a hackathon. I'm an absolute hackathon fan. I still go to a lot of hackathons. And in that hackathon, they showed us Amazon Alexa, and they showed us one of the first versions of the REST API. So that back then there was no SDK yet or anything like that. It was a plain REST API where you used JSONs. And they showed it to us, and I built my first game for it. I absolutely fell in love with the whole building for voice. One of the reasons is obviously I could do it by myself. The other reason is I just saw the potential. And I mean, we just saw the amazing talk from Carlos. There's a lot of potential. There's a lot of people who use voice. And yeah, I just really wanted to work with it. And it was a hobby for a long time. And then in 2017, all of a sudden, I got an email from Amazon saying, hey, so many people are playing your games. We actually want to send you a reward. So yeah, I did this for fun. Like, this was never a thing for me to make money. This was never a thing for me to really start a career around. This was just, yeah, a hobby on the side. And every month, since Amazon did original email, I get a little developer appreciation a check from Amazon every month. So this is what showed me, like, hey, there's a way to, this is getting bigger. There's definitely a market here for it. And I started in 2017, I started a company called Onsai. Onsai actually means voice in Japanese. As you heard earlier, I lived in Japan for a little while, so this was my homage to it. And also in 2017, I built my first Google Action. So why am I such a big fan of Google Action? I just told you all about Alexa. Google Actions, they had a few benefits. They were friendlier for developers, in my opinion. And one of the main things is you could actually get the whole sentence a person said. So Carlos earlier talked about the NLU part. So I'm not going to technical parts in my talk because Carlos did a great job on this. There's no point in repeating it. But the NLU gives you an intent of what was said. But as Carlos mentioned, you need to train your NLUs with things that people might say. In Google Actions, you actually get a whole log of what the person said that you don't get it in Alexa. So this was really drew me to Google Actions and why I started working more on Google Actions. Obviously, there's a lot of different cases why you want to build a Google Action. I built a ton of them for myself. So I built Google Actions that nobody else uses, and one of them is in my company. I can ask my Google how my server status are. I built, instead of having like a dashboard where I just look over a million lines, in the mornings I just ask Google to tell me how my server status is. So I built actions that are just for myself. They're never being published. Like I mentioned earlier, I love building games because I think it's a fun way to entertain. I recently became a dad. It's a fun way to interact with children. Voice is a great thing for that. We've worked with open source projects where we helped public transportation companies build Google Actions for visually impaired people and things like that. So when you think about it, if you really think about building something for voice, go around your day and think of is there something I would want to know right now that I could ask quickly? There's something if there's this moment where you think, hey, I would love to have a quick answer or quick information on something, or I just want to have fun for a few minutes, and you have an idea, building for voice is really a great tool here. If you build for voice, when you start thinking about building for voice, you have this idea for your app. You have this idea for your game. We heard earlier, it's a natural conversation. The cool thing about building for voice, it's really one of the most natural ways to interact with technology, to interact with computers. And for us to think of how to interact with computers, really think about developing a persona for your app or for your action, so that when the person talks to it, he doesn't feel like he's talking to a robot, because that's one of the first downsides for talking to a voice system that is not, I would say, up to par, and why people don't come back. So we've all seen these old IVRs, or the telephone lines where we call in, and we really get frustrated. This is not what actions on Google are about. Actions on Google are supposed to be, lively, good, and you can build a persona about it. Also, when you start an action on Google, so let's say you've built an amazing memory game. That is your new game. It's a game trainer where you, it's a memory game trainer. When you start this, so the normal way would be to be, hey, Google, I want to talk to amazing memory trainer. Then Google says, okay, here's amazing memory trainer. This is where you start. So it makes sense to have a persona, to introduce yourself, and to really shine as a person, because you are introduced just like a person would be introduced. A persona doesn't have to be a person, by the way. So it can be gender neutral, which we recommend. It can be any way you do. But when you start thinking of your voice application, think of how you want to, how do you imagine that other users would look at your persona? One thing we also saw earlier, when you start thinking of building your Google Actions are used everywhere. I mean, once you have a Google Action out there in the wild that people use, you're going to see some amazing data. Like, especially if you write them in English, people all over the world use them. People use them on all kinds of different devices. I have a smartwatch. I use Google Actions, Google Assistant on my smartwatch. I use Google Assistant in my car. You can see behind me quite a few speakers. I use Google Assistants pretty much everywhere. And of course, I also use Google Assistant on my phone. There are ways when you build Google Actions, you can think like, okay, am I going to limit it to a screen-only device? Am I going to do Android? I'm going to do Android only because I want to use Canvas, or like screen-only devices with Canvas. Do I think, hey, this action is going to be used mostly in the car, and we've actually built actions that are mainly used in the car, so we're going to not rely on the screen or not use screens at all. So think about how the person would use it, and how to best engage with the user. Also set the user expectations. We all get bad. When we're all developers, we all publish things. And every time I publish something, I constantly go on the store and check my star reviews and see if people like it and get feedback. And of course, we all dread that horrible one-star review, but we all know it's going to come eventually. And one thing I've noticed is the best way to avoid a one-star review is really to, set the user expectation. The thing you have to remember here, the person who's talking to you, they might not even have a screen. So the easiest way to set the user expectation is choosing the correct name. If we have our game memory trainer, and then we tell them about pizza toppings that we like, it doesn't make sense. And yes, it's probably not an extreme when you do it, but make sure you pick a title for your action on Google that is right, that makes sense, that you can bring together. Next thing is, when a person comes for the first time, introduce yourself. We just talked about the persona. Tell them what the person can do here. Tell them, hello, this is a game trainer. Come back every day for new updates. Come back to, we keep the score. Like, make sure that the person knows what they can do on your Google on Action, and it really will reflect in your reviews. And it also will help you getting the sticky award. That means that people come back to your Google Actions on a semi-regular basis. Google Action has cool awards if you build them. The next thing is, we heard context earlier. So context is something, yes, in action builders, it has definitely helped. But also when designing your voice application, you should think about it. Here's an example. With simple, even in Alexa at the beginning, but today, simple voice applications, you could ask like, okay, Google, who was the 44th president of the United States? Obviously, the 44th president, Google would respond, Barack Obama was the 40th president of the United States. Then, this is a simple query, there's no big issue. But then if the person is like, how old is he? You know, the context means like, going back also means that he should be resolved into Barack Obama. And then you can do the query like, oh, Barack Obama is 59 years old. This is the kind of things with context you should look into, making sure it's like a fluid conversation. It's a natural conversation. No person would ask in the second time, how old is Barack Obama if you just asked about him. So when you build your applications, really think about how it could be natural, and context is a big part of it. Conversational markers, another great way to make conversations more human-like. Conversational part, you know what, let me just give you an example of what I consider a conversational marker. Let's say Google asks you, hey, how many hours did you sleep last night? The user says, about 7. And Google Assistant says, how many fruits or vegetables did you eat yesterday? There's no really, there is no transition. There's no, I don't know, hey, did the Google Assistant just understand me correctly? Is there any, there's no confirmation here. I don't know what was going on. And the user can easily get lost in a conversation. Now, let's do it the way it might make a little bit more sense. Virtual assistant says again, I'll be asking a few questions about your health. First, how many hours did you sleep last night? The user says about 7. The virtual assistant says, good job. And how many servings of fruit and vegetables did you eat yesterday? You see this difference? By a quick introduction, I'll be asking a few questions about your health, and obviously about the good job, referring to the last thing the user said, which is almost like an implicit confirmation saying, yeah, I understood you, because I'm pretty sure when I would write this and I would say I slept 2 hours last night, I would be like, ooh, that's not that much. Like make it relevant for the conversation, and it really feels more natural. I know many of us are developers. I mean, this is DevFest after all, but even developers, we sometimes have to think outside the box when it comes to voice and really think of how to bring a natural conversation down in our code. So the next thing I would say I would talk about is voice shopping. So voice shopping, we have 2 different kinds of voice shopping. The first I'm going to talk about is digital goods. So obviously, unfortunately, I wouldn't say that. Obviously, unfortunately, digital goods currently is only available in the US. It doesn't mean you have to be living in the US to build Google Actions with digital goods, but you can only publish them in the US regions right now. Digital goods are things that you use in your actions yourself, or anything that is not a physical good. So one item is non-consumer digital transactions. These are like in-app purchases in Android, you can imagine. Behind the scenes, one-time payments, anything like you can add there. The next one would be consumable digital goods. This is something that's often used in games. As I mentioned, as making voice games kind of my hobby. So this is more towards where I usually go. This is when you want to do the freemium model. So you have a simple part of your game available, but you add things that people can pay for. Might it be extra lives? Might it be faster recharge? Another level of your game if you make an adventure game. All these things, these are consumable digital goods transactions. And digital subscription transactions is where you have a concurrent monthly payment, for example. Again, could be also part of the freemium model where if you want to give access to the whole game, you charge a premium for. The other part of voice shopping is physical goods and reservations. This is really starting to, get traction, I would say. We've built multiple voice shopping experiences at my company. Anything for a grocery store where we have over 50,000 items that you can search for and buy over Google Action. To one Google Action specifically for car to pay tolls on roads. So imagine driving down the road. You used to have to pull over the gas station to pay your toll. Now you can do it over Google Action. And obviously also reservations. So anything from a hairdresser to restaurants, something quick and easy. It's really, this it's not really a physical good, but reservations falls under physical good and reservations in the transaction API. What you do when you do voice shopping, the really important thing is to start out with, it needs to be easy to use. So voice shopping, it's a completely different experience for a person, especially if he doesn't know the product he's shopping for. So I'm talking about voice search in a minute, but the ease of use is very important. Oftentimes, what we've noticed with voice shopping, conversations are fairly quick. So, in the grocery store example, most people who use this, they don't sit there and ask for a whole grocery list. Instead, they're probably in front of their fridge and they're like, oh, I'm out of milk. And then like, okay, Google, tell XYZ to add milk to my basket. And it's in your basket, it's done. And they do this multiple times a week until their shopping cart reached a certain threshold, and then they just order it. So this is the really important parts. When we talk about product search, and this is where we spent I'm running out of time. Product search is really important. When you think about it in search, we have two kind of, I started earlier, we have two kind of ways people can use actions on Google, with a screen or without a screen in this particular instance. If a person uses a Google Home in the kitchen, they don't have a screen, and they're looking for, let's say, milk. The typical grocery store here in Europe has a variety of milk. Might it be low, the fat content might be different, there might be different brand, and you really need to inform the user. You can't just be like, oh, I have milk for €2 and I have milk for €1. Which one do you want? That doesn't work. If the person would see the product, and over the last, I don't know how many years, marketing has been all about visual. I mean, you have designers who sat there and inched out every inch of that milk carton. Now, all of a sudden, you're supposed to, tell the person, not over visuals, but over voice, what kind of milk you should choose. So you really need to think about how to present a product, especially if the person has never purchased this product before. So obviously, if you have account linking, is this a new query, or does he buy milk every week? If he buys milk every week and he bought the same brand and the same type every week, this is a really easy search. You offer him his top choice every time. If he switches between two different items, you offer him both and you ask him which one does he want. So this is obviously something that is easy. It gets more complicated if I've never purchased milk at that retailer before, because I have multiple different kinds of milk. So I need to start making some guesses and choices in the background. First thing I need to do is, even though I might have 15 types of milks, I can't just be like, I have milk from cow 1, and I have milk from cow 2, I have milk from cow 3. If you keep a list like this to the user doesn't really listen to it much. We've noticed in voice, the last thing we tell the user is the most important thing. Our general recommendation is don't list off more than 3 items for a user to choose off, because it just gets too complicated and the person gets confused. So you need to make some choices, how to represent the best 3 items. Our usual goal is to bring 3 items in the biggest variety that might hit the spot that at least one is close enough to what the person wants, that he's happy. The second thing is, if you have customized search for each user, you can make other choices using machine learning models depending on his previous purchase to make sure you offer the correct assortment of milk. So personalized search, especially in voice, is something that is really important. That is it from me. I want to thank Carlos again for this great presentation earlier. I hope that I was able to give you some insights on how to develop, how to design for voice, and then with Carlos' intent, how to develop for voice. I hope that you guys are ready to build your first Google Actions. It is a lot of fun. It is really rewarding. You can see when people start using your actions all over the world, it is great. They're fantastic hackathon projects because you can build your first Google Action in a few hours, and you can spend months improving and improving it because you just get addicted to it. It's a lot of fun. I have a QR code here for my LinkedIn. If you have questions, contact me on LinkedIn. I definitely would love to help you. If you have questions, just let me know. Also my Twitter. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your session, Jackson, and it's a very wonderful session and so very, very impactful. We really appreciate your session, and we believe that we've learned a lot from your session, from the voice shopping and so many activities that you can do with Google Build Action. So for developers on the call today, in the session, in the current event, I believe you've grabbed one or two things about another app ideas and what you could use Build Action to do, and how you could leverage on Build Action to up businesses and also communities around you to tackle some problems, to solve some major challenging problems that is affecting your community, and that is what this is all about, and that is why we keep doing this every blessed day. We really want to solve a problem, and how do we solve it? And that's basically the information that we are getting from everyone that speak to us today. Yeah. So thank you for judging. I think by the time after the next section, we could be able to have a question and answer session, whereby I believe there are a lot of questions waiting for you, basically. So thanks, Joshin.
Thank you.
So guys, we'll be moving on to the next section. So I don't know, maybe who can guess the next section. I don't think I have anyone that can guess that right now. So without wasting much of our time, I think I will just do the I will just bring it out to you, to everyone. Yeah. The next section is going to be on cloud computing. We've been listening to other speakers talking about build actions, and here they talk about how you could build applications. It mentions something that we are now in cloud, but everything is no more on cloud now. Yeah, due to the pandemic and the current situation of the whole world. Yeah, so in which everyone is looking into. So the next session is going to be a swift drift into cloud. Yeah, cloud. What are we doing there? What exactly are we drifting into? We need to know what exactly we are drifting into, basically, in the cloud. So Slick will be handling that for us. Yeah. So before I move, let me just quickly do a brief introduction of that. It's coming up. Yep. Okay. No, yep. Sorry, I guess there is a lag here with that. Yeah. So Slick Shola is a software engineer and tech community manager, and also the organizer of GDG Akoko. Yeah, he's one of the organizers of GDG Akoko, and we are glad to have you as our organizer over the years. With over 6 years of experience, he is the founder of Code Innovation, a unified technology-driven platform dedicated to closing the technology talent gap in Africa, with more focus on kids and the girl child. Yeah. He has trained over 5,000 teenagers and youth in digital skills and opportunities. He's presently building community with Google's GDG, JetBrains, Kotlin, and Code Innovation. Slick, we are glad to have you on the call. Are you there already? Okay. So we're glad to have you on the call this evening.
Yeah.
And we believe to like drift us well into cloud computing and what it's all about. We can't wait to have you. Over to you.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, SK. And thanks for having me at the same time. So I must say I'm really super excited to be with you guys today. And I must say it's a pleasure once again to see your face on the screen. And today I'll be taking you a bit into cloud and cloud computing as well too. So I'm always excited when I'm on the screen with people and the community at large actually. So it's an amazing time again to actually see what we're doing, and it's actually going to be amazing. So we have very less of time. We're running out of time already. So I'll just like take about 12 minutes of your time. So maybe today I'm actually going to be a bit of a DJ slicky thing on my slides. So I have about 50 slides or maybe probably 50 musics, and I'm actually going to slide through with it in a DJ form. So due to timing, so welcome. It's still drift into cloud computing. So we're actually going to learn what is cloud. So I need to take you guys to the cloud and know what's going on. So you can actually drop a comment. If you see me, my audio is clear enough, you can let me know. If you have any questions, you can just drop it in the comments. I'm watching through, so I'll be there to attend to you while the section goes on. So to my next slide, that's my topic, and my name is Slick. So moving on. So so SK, can you take me to my next slide? Okay, next slide. So so it's two different Google Cloud Platform. We're actually going to talk about what Google Cloud Platform is, and at the same time, we're going to go through what we get to know about Google Cloud Platform. So meet me. I have already been introduced, so I will just skip this slide and go straight to the points because of the time. So we're going to be fast with the slide. So in my next slide, so we're going to be covering what the heck is cloud, forms of cloud computing, maybe not everything, Google Cloud Computing, GCP core infrastructures. We'll not be able to do lab demo today, and maybe probably talk about the future at the same time. So you can actually follow on these sections or connect with me via on Twitter or other platform at MeetSlick, and you could ask me questions due to timing. So yeah, so there's no cloud, it's just someone else's computer. So a lot of people get this misconception that there is actually no cloud and it's just someone else's computer, which is actually not true. And in my next slide, I'll tell you why it's not actually true. It's actually go beyond what cloud is, and it's just someone else's computer. In a logical manner, you could actually check if cloud is someone else's computer, but trust me, it far go beyond that. So we're going to see in definition in the next slide, definition of cloud computing. So different people will actually have a different definition for cloud. What the heck is cloud? And you see some people, student, IT pro, and etc. will have their own definitions. But the most popular one, accepted one, is actually on-demand computing resources delivered to you over the internet. And these are things you actually have access to. I know one other way, we are always trying to connect with cloud, which we don't know. We have connected with cloud maybe via your Gmail, via your Google search. In one way, you have connected with cloud in different ways. And these are actually very amazing way you could actually connect with cloud more, which you don't know. So these are demanding, these are computing resources that is being delivered to you over the internet. Just like you have access of things on your pictures on Google Photos, you have your files on Google Drive as well too. So those are simple basis of cloud computing, which you actually tend to understand. And in another mind's language, you say a computing service created traditionally locally, that is on premises, and is now being transferred to your platform off premises. So we have virtual assistants, just like we say, like Google Assistant, like Joshen said earlier on. We see things around cloud computing in virtual assistants, cashless payments, cloud computing, and IoT, machine learning, and all that, which makes it more amazing around us. So cloud is always all around us. So in the next slide, you see just a brief of how security conscious you have to be when you're actually acting on cloud. Slow access to data. You have to know potential unknown cost of your cloud computing. So you have to be awake of the cloud or infrastructure you are using. That's why we recommend Google Cloud Infrastructure, which security is actually very amazing, and your stuffs can be backed up. You could have good security access, firewalls, and all that, which makes it amazing as well too. So moving on. So cloud infrastructures, we have private clouds, we have hybrid cloud, and we have public cloud. What I mean by private cloud? Private clouds are infrastructures being created on premises, or maybe by your organizations or by you individuals. You build your virtual machines on premises, and you could able to access it. Only you can access it. Google can have access it, people can have access, or only people in your organizations on your premises that you have access to. So those are on premises clouds, and that's our private cloud. So let me go to public cloud. Public clouds are actually cloud infrastructures that are being created off resources, just like off premises, just like we have the Amazon, the Microsoft Azure, the Google Cloud Platform. Those are public cloud platforms that you could actually connect off premises, and you could connect to it on premises as well too. So hybrid doesn't exist. Private cloud exists. Hybrid, public exists, but hybrid doesn't exist. Hybrid is the combination of both your private cloud and your public cloud. So you could actually decide to host your common files or your database on your private cloud. You don't want Google or anybody else to have access to your database, and you could put your other resources on the public cloud, which is Google Cloud Platform and all that. So we have SaaS, and we have PaaS, and we have IaaS. So we have software as a service, basically services you use like Gmail and all those platforms you actually use. While we have PaaS as developers have access to things they actually want to build on a go. So the Google infrastructure platforms has been configured for you when you're using platform as a services. Why infrastructure as a service are basically for IT hubs, dev hubs, whereby you have access to things like App Engine, Google Kubernetes, that's GKE, App Engine, etc. Even Microsoft, Amazon, Azure, and all that. So depending on whatever you want to use in the cloud computing, so you can actually decide to. SaaS is something you use every day, like you use a Google Drive, use your other platforms which you actually use every day. But other ones that which you don't use every day, things like your apps, and your everything you actually do, which makes it more amazing whatever you do. So moving on to the next slide. So typically we have an environment whereby you could actually do some amazing stuff like visualized environment, development frameworks, databases, and more other things, and on your platform as a service, which makes it really, really amazing. So next slide. Sorry, I have to be fast because of time. So it's just a brief, and I could share my slide and you could have more time to actually go through this. So moving on to virtual machines. Virtual machines are basically software-based instance of physical services, physical server where guest operating system have access to emulated virtual device. What do I mean by this? Virtual machines are just like a virtual operating system, virtual computers. The virtual just like a virtual laptop in another way, just like you have your operating system as a service now. So these are virtual machines whereby things are, or a laptop somewhere else, let me use in that word, where your Windows operating systems, every other things are being installed and could be easily accessed at a go. Moving on to the next slide. So next slide, just time. So I'll just start to talk about virtualization as a service. Just like I said, loaded in operating system and Windows computers. So you could actually do some installations like you want your Mac OS, your computers, your OS, and everything on it. Next slide. So moving on. So we have scalability and externality, which make virtualization amazing, resource sharing and pooling, load balancing, and portability and cloning as well too. So another part of cloud computing, which I've actually mentioned earlier on, we have virtualization, we have the container, and we will have the serverless later on. So the container, for example, of containers are the popular Google Kubernetes, JKE, and Docker, which runs in a single node. So a container is actually an operating system which is actually faster than the virtualization, the virtual machines we're using. But these ones are actually different in the sense that they actually run, they orchestrate their code in a container. So in containers, it's faster than the virtual machines, and they don't have operating system that are hard to load, rather than in virtual machines that have operating system installed that are hard to load. So there are more better way of computing than virtual machines. So next slide. So the serverless, that's the third one in cloud computing. So we have execution model where cloud servers runs on the servers. Serverless doesn't mean it's serverless completely, like the word English stated. It basically means your stuff runs offline. Your stuff runs offline. That's what it basically means. So your machines runs offline, and we have big organizations like Netflix use serverless to serve over 7 billion of videos online to 50 million, over 50 million plus customers across the globe. So it's actually very typically amazing to see what serverless things can do. So these are ways whereby you run your code in functions. So your code are being run in functions, and you are being checked when your function is being triggered. So that's what makes serverless makes amazing as well too. So next slide. So I have to be a bit faster. So we have cloud infrastructure providers like Amazon Web Providers, Microsoft Azure, Alibaba Cloud, Google Cloud, IBM Cloud, and Oracle Cloud, which are different ones that run IaaS and all those amazing infrastructures. Moving on. So Google Cloud Platform, which is actually an amazing platform for you to do a lot of things, a platform created by Google for you to have access to computing at a go with easiness, with high security, and at the same time, what makes Google Cloud Platform actually amazing? It means you are actually you can actually access your files. If you want to move it to another slide, I mean another platform as well, maybe the Microsoft, there's flexibility in it, there's elasticity in it. If you're tired of Google Cloud Platform, you can actually move out there. The security is amazing. According to people who have used developers like us, you could actually know that Google Cloud Platform is an amazing platform that have access to serverless, virtual machines, app engines, which Google have been building, which is one of the first Google infrastructures they started with, which is actually amazing. So these are things we have to try out when you actually go into cloud computing. It's like, so I have about 5 minutes more in my section. So this is the ecosystem in the brief, and we have the Google Maps, the Google Analytics, Google Search, and devices, and etc. That makes it more really amazing when you're actually going there. So moving on. So next slide. So in this Google Cloud Platform, you say it's been split into different aspects, which means in your IaaS, that's infrastructure as a service, you have IT ops, you have system ops, DevOps. It falls under the platform as a service. Even the same thing with Kubernetes and containers fell between IaaS and PaaS, which makes it amazing. So at the same time, we have software as a service, which are normal platforms you use like Gmails, your drives, your YouTube, and all that platforms, which are also makes it amazing. So this is just an API functions of how you could actually access Google Cloud Platform. And next slide. So I don't want to take more time on this. So this is the platform where you actually interact with Google Cloud Platform, and it's called Query Labs. Query Labs is actually an amazing platform where you can actually log into your Google Cloud Platform. When you have a registered email, you have your credits, and you could buy a credit or whatever you actually want to do. Then you could actually have different ways of interacting with Google Cloud Platform. We have the Google Cloud Platform console, we have the Cloud Shell SDK, and we have the REST SB, and we have the Cloud Mobile. So the Google Cloud Platform console is just the environment, just like a GUI where you are using, while the Cloud Shell and it's just the DOS environment whereby you could run your codes at the same time you could create in the GUI platform form. So this is the GCP console, and these examples of it. In the Cloud Shell, they're just like a DOS environment where you could run your codes and you could run your computing resources fast enough and whatever you need to do at a go. Yeah, so Cloud mobile app is another thing you can use on your mobile machine, on your mobile phone, download it from the Play Store or App Store, Google Play Store or App Store, and you could actually manage your resources, manage your app engine, your billing, your project visualizations, and which is just at a go. So GCP is actually global and is at the same time is automating. Like you could actually scale up, auto scaling, scale down, elasticity is serverless, security, high secured infrastructures. You can manage it yourself. There's some security level that's been managed with Google yourself, and you could actually be flexible to have access to your security at the same time too. So it's actually amazing. It's global. You can access it whatever you want. So Google Platform is an amazing platform which you could actually need it to try out. So dive into GCP. So you're driving into GCP and you're talking about the compute engine. So the compute engine, why I told you is virtualization, that is the virtual machines. The Kubernetes, that's the container, other client computing, the containers, just like the Docker, one of the most popular open source function to use in containers. So on the app engine, so we also fell on the serverless, and cloud functions also fell on the serverless functions, and which actually makes it amazing. So next slide. So compute engine is the same as virtual machines that I explained earlier on. So you could actually have access, a platform whereby you have total access to your configurations, your machines, your OS, your CPUs, your storage, your RAM size, just like you have on your computer devices. So you configure it yourself. So you have all platforms to yourself on virtual machines. While on Kubernetes fell between IaaS, both function of IaaS and PaaS, while some call it container as a service at the same time. Next slide. So it's under container. It's actually made available. Next slide. So compute engine, for those who prefer to manage their own servers on their own, containers is just a way for you to orchestrate your code. While app engine is cloud functions is completely going serverless environment. Function as a service, you can execute your code in response to events according to the number of times, and you are being charged according to that number of time. Next slide. So computing options, I've talked about this. Next slide. So this is the hybrid form of how the whole thing running. Next slide. So this is just the life cycle of VM. You can check it later how it moves from the virtual machine CPU configuration to the app engine to the shutdown. The life cycle, you can check it when I share my slide later on. 2 minutes more. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Next slide. Okay, those are storage of the how you can change the next slide. So you could go through those things on your own and see next slide how it works. So RDP client works when you're configuring your Windows, your Microsoft Windows with Google Cloud platforms, or where if you don't want to use virtual machines, I mean Linux or operating systems. So Google Kubernetes is a container orchestrator, and it needs the container to run, and it's faster than virtual machines. Antos enables you to run Kubernetes clusters anywhere in both cloud and on-premise environments as well. So next slide. So Kubernetes leverages simplicity as a platform, and it's actually amazing. So you can see difference between Docker at the same time. Next slide. So you could see difference between Kubernetes versus Docker. You can check it in my slides. They are almost the same thing, but they run on different platforms. Next slide. So serverless function, I've talked about this. Next slide. You run your code on a server and you're good to go. It can also be known as function as a server at the same time. Next slide. So app engine and serverless almost similar together. So storage, next slide. So you have storage platforms whereby you could actually see your MySQL, NoSQL, you have your cloud, you have the spanner, you have so much things that you can do under Google Cloud Platform. A minute more, next slide. Okay, to the future, if it's in the DevOps, you could actually start beginning. You can reach out to me via shoot out a DM to me on Twitter or on other platforms to know where you actually get started from in the future. And you could check me out on profile.misleak.com. You can push or wire an email to me for giveaways on sleek@misleak.com at the same time. So it's glad to have everyone here, and you can see additional resources on these platforms. Imagination is more important than your knowledge. So thank you, and thanks for having me.
Thank you, Slick, for the wonderful session on cloud. And I think that has really gone a long way about people that is trying to know more about cloud. I think we have some questions now. At the moment, we are in question time. Yeah, this is the time I've been waiting for. Yeah, I think we have to bring everyone that spoke on the that's presented on the speaker on the calls to answer for the question and answer session. Hi, Jason, welcome.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us on the question and answer session. I believe that's the period we've been waiting for. Before we do that, we still have one more speaker to go. Yeah, of course, we can't. We will love to have women around us, and she will be talking to us soon, immediately after the session. Please, let's watch out for that to everyone on the call. So the second question, and so I think I have a couple of questions here. Okay, let me take the first question. The first question is from Lawan Temitope. I think it goes to the cloud computing session. Yeah. So Slick, over to you, more explanation on cloud and cloud database.
Okay. Thank you for that. There was a part of my sections that actually talk about cloud database. I was very, very fast because of time. I had to skip that. So we have different cloud database like the BigQuery database. You have the NoSQL database. You have the Spanner. You have a lot of cloud database, Cloud Spanner, and all that. So basically, they are different, and some of them are in terabytes, some of them are in gigabyte, some of them are different than each other. So you have to know when exactly to use each of them. So cloud database is another explanation. It's another topic on cloud computing on its own, because each database has different purpose. There are some you have to use when you're building a financial app. There's some where you're building apps like binary images, blogs. You can use the big table. There are some where you're trying to build something small like a backup or a small function website. You could do Cloud Spanner. So you could get there are different databases in cloud computing that have different purpose. So at the same time, you have to have a good cloud engineer or an IT ops that is actually good, a DevOps, which we definitely know you, because you might be totally be wrong when you use the right functions. Apart from functions, you might be overly charged. So you'll be charged again. So that's actually very important. So I will share resources to you, Lawa, Temitope, so you could actually learn more around cloud database.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Slick. I think Lawa will be expecting to get some resources to get more explanation on that. Yeah. So the second question goes to Dr. It's basically Google Build Action. Please recommend resources to learn more about Google Action. Yeah.
If you want to learn more about Google Actions, I mean, Google has amazing code labs. That's like a great way to start. The code labs are both from design and from a technical point of view. In general, like even with cloud, with machine learning, I always recommend Google Code Labs. That's a good way to start. The other thing is use actions. So use other people's actions, see what are the top 10 this week in actions, use them, and see what you like about them, what don't you like them, like what would you change about them. Yeah, I think those are like my 2 quick tips for building Google Actions, or how to start out, really. Yeah.
Okay, thanks for that, Desheng. I think I have one question for you before
Yes.
So it's basically, you know, at the moment there is OK Google being installed on every smartphones, and the way it works, I personally I love that, but I still have some couple of things that are not clear in terms of the continuous conversation. So whereby I could say, okay, Google, it has triggered the action, so it has initiated that Google is ready to speak to me, that I'm ready to speak to Google, to okay, Google. So, but the question is, when I initiated the action, I trying to have a continuous conversation, I discovered that there's kind of a lagging issue whereby I have to do and I have to repeat okay Google before I could continue the conversation. Yeah, I still hold on to the previous conversation, but I still need to say okay Google. Just like I could say, okay Google, how are you today? It has answered me. I'm not meant to like come back and say, okay Google, what is the time now? So what could be the challenges there about the continuous conversation on Google Cloud on OK Google? Yeah.
Yes. So today this is an interesting subject. So obviously, as you mentioned, to start a conversation, you have to say, okay, Google, this is the wake word to get the microphones open to stream the data. If you pretty much, okay, let me go the other way around. When you program your Google action, in your program, you really have only two choices after each prompt. So earlier you saw Carlos talk about prompts. You can say, it's a Boolean for true or false. Do you want to continue with the conversation? If you say true, the Google will open the microphone again for up to, I believe it's 8 seconds. So the user has 8 seconds to respond. Can you hear me?
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, the user has up to 8 seconds to respond. If you set the Boolean to false, then the microphone will close. Google is very, very protective over the open microphone state, mostly because of privacy reasons. So they don't want people to randomly say something and it being sent to the wrong person. It was in the news that Google is very protective over their users' privacy. When you build a Google action, this actually gets tested and challenged. Exactly that. The Google action only listens when it really makes sense for the action, and the microphone only stays open as long as it really is required by the action. So I understand from a developer point of view how you're saying it. However, dealing with the private, this is how Google currently deals with it. Some other platforms have a different approach to it, but yeah, this is just the confine we're living with. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, thanks so much. I think I have one or two more questions to go. Okay, the next question is from Olayode Enoch. How can I manage voice interactivity for a chat app into different languages? Yeah.
So yeah, obviously this is different language is always a bit complicated. How my main idea how we usually do it is we build the action in one primary language, and if we use webhooks to create our answers, to create our prompts, we use templates. If you use, for example, JavaScript, there's the I18N internationalization standard you can use to really create a different translation for each output. There's great information from Jovo on this. There's great information from other GDEs. But yeah, in general, I would start in one language, build a full action, then start a translation, always have native speakers tested, translate the prompts, translate your sample queries, and then build from there. it is a somewhat tedious project, but it's definitely manageable. We have Google Actions in German, Italian, Spanish, English, Japanese, French. So it is, it is work, but it's also very rewarding work because obviously the more languages you have, the more users you potentially have.
Okay. Thanks for the question. Thanks for answering the question, Joking. I think I have no more questions to go. This is the last question I'll be checking on this session while we round up the session so that we could have the next session. That is from Najib Sulaiman. Please explain more on orchestration. That's at Slick. Over to you, Slick.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you, SK, for having me once again. So, hi, Suleiman. This is actually a nice question. So, but it's actually, I told you when we talk about the client computer, we have the virtual machine, we have the container, and we have the serverless. So, orchestrating your code files under Docker or Google Kubernetes, that's the JKE. So, it's actually a way for you to put in your code in a container rather than running it in an operating system, just like for machines. In those days where we have operating systems that have to build for like about 30 minutes, you have to go and sleep and come back. Okay, so those operating container that actually run your. So that's basically what it does for you, Raji. So you run your code in a container rather than orchestrating your code. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for that. Thanks for that, Slick. And thanks to everyone for the session, Joshing and Slick. Thank you so much. We really appreciate for taking your time to answer questions from our attendees, and we are super excited to have you all on this session. So thanks, Joshing.
Thank you very much.
So moving on, we will be moving on to the next section, which is the last. Probably I won't say that that's the last section. Yeah, basically. Yeah, because we still have some other sessions, giveaway and the palliative. Yeah, you know. So we'll be moving on to the next section where I will be bringing Rachel Onoja on the call. Hello, Rachel. How are you today?
Hi. Hello.
Hi, Rachel. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Yeah, good to have you on the call this evening. Sorry for keeping you because of other engagements, and thanks for your patience. Yeah. So
yeah, thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone. Okay, let me quickly share my screen.
Okay, while Rachel is trying to share our screen, let me quickly do a brief introduction. She'll be talking on embracing the strength of your personality. Yeah, this is always the woman thing. Yeah, thanks to the women in tech for helping us with this, because we guys, I tend we think to forget the personality, the soft skill part of it. So focus more on the technical part. So thanks, Rachel. But Rachel will be like enlightening us more on the strength of our personality. So let's have the session. Yeah, over to you, Rachel. Yeah.
Okay, just to be sure, can you see my screen clearly? Okay. Yeah, still working on that. Present. Okay. Hi, everyone. Yeah. Okay. Hello, everyone. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for joining this session. My name is Rachel Onoja. I am a program associate with Decagon. At Decagon, what we basically do is We train software engineers, providing access to internet, a laptop, accommodation, feeding, stipends, health insurance over a period of 6 months. You could literally start from 0 to, say, intermediate within 6 months. Get access to local internship for 3 months, international internship for 3 months, and then we support you to get through interview processes, and then get hired by a company, and then after all of that, we work with the whole Harvard student loan process. Then you start paying back tuition. Well, so at Decagon, my role revolves around, before Decagon, I have always been a community person. I still am a community person. I'm the Women Tech Makers lead for GDG Bauchi and WTM Bauchi. And I'm also, recently I became the Women Tech Makers mentor for all the ambassadors in Nigeria. So prior to that, my...
Sorry for I think you are not sharing the right screen. Yeah, we couldn't see the screen that you are presenting if you are reading from the screen, from your slide, really.
Okay, I'm not reading from it. I want to believe it's showing embracing the strengths of personalities, right?
No, not at all. It's showing the presenter video. I think the back side, the presenter view. That's
okay.
Displayed.
Oh, wow. Sorry about that. Okay. Got it. Okay. And yeah. Okay. Better?
Yeah, perfect now. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. So through that, basically my role, everything, my career has been revolved around supporting developers in the non-technical way, trying to see how I can provide access to resources and everyone, connecting you to the right person to help you advance your career, and then trying to see how you can use your non-technical qualities to be a better developer. So for today, I'll be speaking on embracing the strengths of our personalities. Just before I get started, I think it's best for us to actually understand what our personalities are. And I believe that every single person here knows their personality. If you're not sure, I will be sharing a link for you to check that out, and then understanding your strengths. Our strengths, most of the time, people actually know what their strengths are, but most times they are not so confident about it, or they try to shy away from it because their strength actually comes with great responsibilities. So people tend to shy away from that and just put up a facade. Okay, this is what I want to be. Or sometimes our weaknesses tends to affect our strengths. So in the whole, you're trying to fix your weaknesses and then you ignore your strengths. And then through that whole process, you tend to lose yourself. You tend to lose actually what you're supposed to be putting out there, how you're supposed to be impacting the world. So today's session is going to help us cover briefly. We don't have much time. So what are strengths? According to Wikipedia, it's a state of quality or a state of being strong bodily or muscular power, vigor, mental power, force, moral power, firmness, or courage. Now, all of these are adjectives that present it in the right way. But then, for the sake of this particular presentation, I want to talk about your soft skills. Say things like your leadership. You have leadership. Your strength revolves around leadership, problem solving, kindness, motivation. Like literally, the human part of you that you're bringing into your developmental environment, whereby at your company or maybe in your school or where you are serving or wherever it is you find yourself, how can you bring in your strength, the strength of your personality? Now, before we get ahead, I would like to quickly identify that for those who are not so sure, we have three main personalities. We have introverts, extroverts, and ambiverts. Extroverts are people who enjoy being on their own. Literally just there, I just want to enjoy my company. I find I derive strength from my company. I derive passion, I derive joy. I feel more energized after spending so much time with just myself, staying at home, not socializing with people a lot. It doesn't mean that they don't socialize with people well, they do, but then mostly you find introverts being actively social when they are in the midst of people who are like their clique, people who understand them. An introvert can be in a room and they don't really understand, okay, the people who are there are not, maybe they don't understand that person's personality, and then the next thing you hear is that person is rude and all that. But introverts are not rude, they just have ways of being in their own space. So that is something that we should really understand. Then extroverts are people who are really amazing, extra energized in every way possible. Like you could quite literally walk into a room and meet an extrovert, and they might have never met you before, but then you will spike some kind of amazing conversation, and it will just run through that, and you will enjoy the conversation. And just after that, you realize that, okay, whatever embodiment of joy and passion that person has, just within that moment, that person rubs it off on you. And those are people who are very important to the society, because if we just have introverts, it's not really great, because introverts are mostly just there, mellow. So the balance within between extroverts and introverts is what makes a more balanced life easier to achieve. Then we have ambiverts. Ambiverts are people who sometimes they are introverts and then sometimes they are extrovert. That is, they're in the middle, and you want to. These are people who, yes, they enjoy being alone, but then they wouldn't mind actually going out and having fun and then just coming back. Now, the thing is, introverts feel drained when they are in very stimulating environments. I think I could really attest to that. Like, personally, I tend to have like my people time. I go out, and from within say 3 4 hours, I know that okay, my people time is elapsing. I need to do and get back home and get more recharged. So I find personally, like, okay, it's important for you to be able to identify your personality, because that is where you'll be able to drive your strength from. For the sake of this session, I would like to focus on introverts, because these are people, most devs are introverts or ambiverts. We have extroverted developers, but then most of the time they're actually introverts. Now, the thing is, when you go to a workplace, developers are not always some developers, let me not say all developers, some developers are not always able to express themselves fully. They just want to be in the back stage, doing their thing, pushing their code, pushing features, amazing features that is changing the world. But then they do not want all that extra stuff. Now, there are people who want the extra stuff, like they want the extra stuff. So the idea is this: you want to, assuming you're a developer who finds it difficult because you see that your weaknesses, that is not being able to express yourself so much, is actually affecting your work. I think this particular presentation is for you. So for the sake of this presentation, I would like to speak on 3 main points. Know your wrong-handed moments. Your wrong-handed moments are your weaknesses. Let's say, for instance, I'm right-handed, like my right hand is more dominant. So say I want to, usually if you want to throw something with your right hand, it projects easier and it goes directly, at least if you're good at maybe basketball, handball, or shot put, it goes directly to where you're trying to send it to. But then if you're trying to use your left hand, the projection, the angle may not exactly be where you are sending it to. So the idea is you want to know your wrong-handed movements and try to see how you can complement them. Say you're someone who has difficulties during meetings, you are not so great speaking up. So the idea is you want to find a way whereby you want to project your ideas about what can help the company be better during, say, in the chat session, yeah, you don't actually have to talk, but then in the chat session, if you can keep dropping hints and all that, that would go a long way to actually show that, okay, this person is actually quite visible. And when you come to look for promotion later on, everybody will know that, yes, during meetings, this person is always putting words out there. So it's not that, okay, you can't talk, then you feel, okay, maybe I'll just keep quiet through the meeting. And that's how the whole meeting will go through. And at the end of it, people will be like, did this person even attend the meeting? So you could also talk to your manager, your line manager, the person you work hand in hand with. You want to identify, okay, let's say, let's use tech skills, development skills. Say you are better at UI UX development, and then it's a company where your engineering team is not so large. So the idea is you want to look for how, okay, this person, you are better at digital, yes, you are good at UI UX. This person is good at analytics, and then you are being given analytics work, and maybe the analytics person could be part of the finance team. You could actually talk to your manager that, okay, for tasks that involves UI UX and a little bit of analytics, I would like to talk to this person to support me through it. Your managers actually want you to perform at maximum, so they would be okay with that. Then you want to also actually skill up, because nobody wants someone who is there and not making money for the company. So the idea is you want to be able to skill up, give every of your time, as much time as you can, into learning new skills, into embracing new things. Now, then know your right-handed moments. Say opportunities where you want to, in your right-handed moments, you want to identify three main things. You want to identify who, when, and how. Who is that? In what environment do you do better? Like, okay, who is there? Who do you work with? Like when I said you could bring someone from the finance department to support you, you want to identify when this person in finance is actually around me, I work better, I experience more, I put in so much more of myself. So such things, you want to identify who are the people who, when you are around, you give in more of yourself. Then you want to identify where do you enjoy going out into nature, and then you're coding and you're enjoying yourself, or maybe you are having a task that usually you would be slow or you would procrastinate. So if you can get those tasks and then go to somewhere your happy place. So in that particular moment, you are finding a strength and then merging your weakness, bringing your weakness into that particular situation to ensure that you are able to give so much of your energy and your best work into achieving that particular thing. So that is identifying where. So you want to identify, is it a coffee shop you do better there? Do you enjoy noisy environments to work better? Do you prefer silent environment? Personally, I prefer silent environment to work better. So you want to identify this time. Then you bring in those tasks that you would naturally procrastinate or put off for a longer period. You do it within those moments. Then the how. Now it's about what technique are you using, that normally when you are using this particular technique, say same UI UX, say you are using Adobe XD and it takes so much more of your time, it's draining and all that, but then you realize that Figma does the work best, and maybe you need a subscription. Your line manager is like the best person to go to in this situation. Again, go to your line manager and be like, okay, this is what I need most for this, and I need money for subscription. And if they see that it's going to effectively help your work, they will definitely give it to you. Then the next thing is, how do you impact the world through your strengths? You want to identify, like I said, at the beginning of the talk, the main thing is you want to identify your strengths. Impacting the world through your strengths revolves around trying to see, okay, my weaknesses, how do I convert them to my strengths? Now, another tricky thing about your weaknesses and trying to convert them to your strengths is that sometimes your weaknesses are actually some of the are things that actually make you better at what you do. That is, say a lady gave a particular illustration about how she she paints she paints flowers, and when she's painting, the first 3, 4, 5 petals that she's painting, they look perfect. But then eventually, when she's getting to the last 2 petals, the space is so small, and then she has to cram everything into that particular spot. Now, what she realized is it's more like a signature part of her work. And then through that, a friend of hers, whenever she tries to perfect it and then get enough paper, and there's all those cramming is no longer there, the friend is not always happy with that. So she later put it up on like a review site for people to review her drawing. The one that has flaws and the one that is perfect, which is better? And people preferred the flawed ones. The idea is for every single human, we all have our flaws. It's about being able to ensure that your flaws are not affecting your work, your flaws are not affecting people around you, and your flaws, it's not the whole, some people will say, I am who I am, deal with it. No, nobody wants to deal with nonsense. And when you get to a workplace and people are like, okay, this person is not performing well, this person is not even trying to change their attitude, you could get fired. Like, it's that easy. Or you say, these particular skills, I'm not able to bring them to the table. So whenever a task come around this, I'm not going to do it. You have deliverables to file in at the end of every month. If you're not delivering, like someone called me 2, 3 days ago, and she was telling me that sorry, that she wanted to let me know that she got fired. She has like a side gig apart from her main job, and then she got fired from it. I was like, okay, why? Because I supported in trying to help her get one of those jobs. And I was like, why? What happened? And then she was like, they said she's not delivering. I asked her, were you delivering? And then the thing is, you know when you are actually wrong. So your strengths should be able to cover up for your weaknesses. But if you decide that, okay, you want to just ignore your weaknesses, that's why I said building up skills. Every day is about unlearning, learning, and relearning. It's the idea of you want to be able to pick up these particular new skills, add it to your OKRs for the month, do it, and then by adding those skills, you add more value to yourself. By the time you are negotiating for a higher salary, somebody at the beginning of it, your HR will be like, okay, at the beginning of this, when this person joined the company at first, this person did not have these skills, but then this person has been able to increase the skills. This is more value that they are bringing, and they could help us earn more money as a company through this. So these are things that you do for yourself. So as much as your strength revolves around leadership, say your strength, the way to actually embrace most of your strengths is putting yourself in situations where you have to actually put in your effort into these things. Say you hire in a company and then a particular day things are not going so well. Are you great at motivational speaking? This is the best time to put your skills out there. Are you great at problem solving? Are you great at analytics? That is, these are moments where you want to identify the things you are better at and then putting them out there. You want to support your teammates. The idea is connection with people around us. It's what make life actually worthwhile. Like if you have a great connection with a lot of people, your life will be so much easier. But then it doesn't mean that you would be connected with everyone on the same level. Is that you should be able to bring your strength at a time of distress in your company, in your class, where you work, and ensure that everyone says that, okay, this person's strength is what is actually helping us get through this. Then another thing is we need to be able to easily embrace our weaknesses. In an attempt to actually fix our weaknesses, we sometimes put up a facade, put up this whole shield of armor on, I am trying to ensure that I am better at this. And then you tend to lose yourself in that process, whereby, let me use a personal story. Let me use heartbreak as an example. I got my heart broken sometime, say 2, 3 years ago, and I put up this particular shield up, and then it was really hard for me getting into relationships. And it became okay. my strength, I was beginning to lose my strength. Like people were like, okay, you were not like this before. What happened to you? And I kept on defending that I was trying to put myself in a better position so I don't get my heart broken and all that. But then one thing we don't know is by the time we put up this shield, we are not impacting people, we're not impacting the world, we're not impacting our community. We tend to lose focus on what we're supposed to do. We tend to look focused on how we are supposed to do things. And once you start losing focus, you are derailing. You are derailing, and there are a lot of people who are on that career path or on your community path that you need to impact their lives. Now, assuming you are not there to impact their lives, yes, definitely, someone might impact their lives, but then that is one person's success story that you've lost out of your whole ledger of people that you're supposed to help. So the idea is we need to embrace our strengths, find a way to work around our weaknesses, find a way as introverts, find a way to put yourself more out there, but do not lose yourself while doing that. Extrovert, you need to find a way to be able to relate with so much people and then know how to ensure that you are still you, because sometimes extroverts get a little bit extra that extra, so they get quite extra that they forget that people around them actually have feelings that they are hurting. So extroverts always try to ensure that, okay, I need to find a way to not hurt this person's feelings. I need to find a way not to make this person feel bad, because they just say a lot of things that maybe they are just joking and they may not take it as anything serious, but people are getting hurt. Then ambivert, that balance that you have is what is, so I could say, is one of the things that is keeping everyone's shit in the same, I don't know, like it's what is keeping everyone in the right state of mind. So let's all embrace our strengths. Let's all find a way to deal with our weaknesses in a way we don't lose each other. Once you are able to embrace your strength, you would be a way better colleague, you'll be a way better friend, you would be a way better member of your community, and you will impact the world through your strength in ways you didn't even know. Then, finally, honor your voice. In the midst of the whole clutter and everything that is out there, like right now, you want to find your unique strengths. Everybody's strengths are completely different. Don't try to force yourself. Say, let's use people who you know that you are courageous. In times of turmoil, you want to put your courage out there and ensure that everyone is getting calmed down. People who are motivational speakers. In a time of distress, you want to be sending out words of comfort to people that will motivate them that, see, there's a better tomorrow. People who their strength is kindness. You want to be kind. Sarcasm should not be something you are bringing in all the time. People's feelings actually get hurt, especially in the workplace. There are times that we feel, okay, it's at the workplace and we're all having a professional relationship, so you can just throw in some sort of sarcasm, all in the name of, yeah, I'm trying not to be emotional, or I'm trying not to make people feel um uncomfortable. But then in the midst of that sarcasm, you make people feel uncomfortable. Some people go back and think about things deeply. So we always have to think about people before doing things that would hurt people. Thank you very much for attending my talk. Please, if you have any questions, this is the time. Thank you.
Like really so fast, we don't want you to go. We don't want the session to end basically, because I could see everywhere boiling, like about the whole session. Everyone is talking about it. Rachel is no more on the call. I guess our network, yeah, she's going to join us back. Yeah, thanks for that session, Rachel, and really appreciate that. It's a very strong messages from that session. I don't know where I was sitting. I was like, just like, man, that's everything just entering my head. Yeah, yeah. So, guys, thanks for staying with us. We couldn't we hope that we don't want to like take much of our time, but right now I think things went another way, so we are trying to adjust. Yeah, we are trying to adjust. Okay, Rachel is back. Rachel, are you there?
Wow. Okay, I
Yeah,
was trying to screen sharing and then I left the video. I'm so sorry.
yeah, no problems about that. So that was a very wonderful session. Even though my head, I was just like in my head, it's just like they opened my head and you start like everything was just engine and like man. When I was sitting, I was just like taking it. So I believe it's true. I believe this is the best, as in I really appreciate this session. Your session was a very great session, and in which I myself personally I learned from it, and I think it's something that I think you are right by you saying developers are always we try to like take chill about when you actually say the front end, especially the fight between the front end and the back end, it's always like that. Everybody wants to take shit as if the wall is about to happen. But I think by really embracing our strengths and we could get things sorted out without putting on stunts on each other, and yeah, it helps to build more relationship and also help to make our strength and embracing the kind of personality we have makes it more stronger than people have seen about us. Yeah. So thanks, Rachel. That's a very
Thank you
good.
very much.
Thanks for joining us. We really want to have you someday again. Let's do this more and more. Okay, bye for now. So guys, we're already coming to the end of the session of the whole event. Yeah, of the whole event. I dropped a chat that you should rate your moderator. I don't know. I don't know how to do this, but thankfully I believe you guys enjoyed some part of it. I believe I was able to perform wonderful well. Pardon me for the initial issues with the lighting, with the mic, with the audio. Trust me, in our next event is going to be very, very perfect. Yeah. So we are learning every day to ensure that we improve on everything we are doing. Yeah. So moving on, we'll be moving on to that session that we are waiting for, which is going to be the last session to go. Yeah, one more session to go. It's not really a talk. It's just a normal thing. It's just a normal thing. I believe you guys are waiting for it. Who can guess? I just want you guys to guess the session. I don't want to disclose that right now. So that is why I'm putting closing remark. Who can guess that? I don't know. My second moderator, for some reason, just because of network, she couldn't make it to the call today. We're really sorry about that. Yeah, that's the challenge that we are facing every single time that we are hosting events. Yeah, no one could be able to. That's where, see, someone has already missed giveaway. I think someone just dropped it, palliative session. But now, right now, it's going to be virtual jollof rice. I believe you guys are getting your virtual jollof rice. Yeah. The last movie I watched, I believe everyone I've seen this movie, Citation. They pull up a stunt in that movie whereby they said jollof rice originated from Senegal. Is that true? I don't know. I was shocked. And someone answered that no, it's from Ghana. There has always been of this kind of jollof rice issue with Ghana and Nigeria. Now I think Senegal is coming into the dragging of jollof rice within Nigeria and Ghana. So it's now becoming between Nigeria, Ghana, and also Senegal right now. So guys, virtual jollof rice. I believe by now you should have been receiving your jollof rice, yeah, from everywhere you are. So giveaway, networking and giveaway. So how are we going to go about this? Is Slick on the call? So we could do this together. Slick, if you are there. Hi, Slick. Hello, Slick. Are you there? Slick, are you with us? Oh, Slick is not here. Hello, Slick, are you there with us?
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now. Perfect. So
Oh,
it's the
awesome.
same everyone have been waiting for. So the networking and the giveaway session, the palliative, it's time for us to start sharing it out. Okay, let's look at the items that we have today for you guys. We have the data, we have airtime, we have Nigeria jollof rice, not Senegal jollof rice, not Ghana jollof rice, but Nigeria jollof rice. $500 worth of license. I guess that's for JetBrains, for those people that are using PhD Storm, WebStorm, PyCharm, got you covered today. And some paid courses, yeah, for everyone out there. Yeah. So it's time, let's do this together.
Okay, thanks, SK. You've actually did amazing well in anchoring as one of the top moderators across Africa for Rated today, according to feedback in the chat sections. We got amazing feedbacks and kudos to you. And to our to Madam Nancy that couldn't make it to the call today due to Nigerian network from our own side. We will send the Nigerian police to you. So moving on to this section. So I'm super excited to have we have few people on the calls, and I think giveaways should be enough for everybody. So for us to be able to track this giveaway well, apart from identifying your names, and we could actually love to actually identify your email, so we could actually put up to you guys too at the same time. So the first thing we will actually be having some questions, and which is actually very sharp questions, and if you can easily answer these questions, and you could actually be able to get a lot of things around it. So who can tell us the first meaning of DevFest? Who can tell us the full meaning of DevFest? Fattest finger on the chat box. Tell us the full meaning of DevFest. We're waiting. Okay, who is getting in? Nobody? Going?
Fattest finger. I think I'm best with typing on
the next question.
Yeah. No one could do that. I'm taking over this developers.
Nobody to tell us the full meaning of DevFest. Oh.
Okay.
Okay. Somebody. Okay, it's all right. So we I think we got an answer, and it's okay. So the next question is during Anedi section, the Almighty Anedi actually gave a shout out to our community for hosting one of the biggest DevFests in that year across Africa, basically. And tell us that year and tell us where the event was being hosted.
Question time. This is like
I already made mention of the year, so definitely.
Yeah.
So GDG Akoko hosted one of the largest DevFests across Africa. And
what year?
2000. What year and where? So if you can get what year, then that's great. We could actually take in that. Network. People are having network issues.
Okay. I think I got
2016. 2017. Okay, guys.
Akoko, is that?
That's correct. So big shout out to Lawa for actually getting in. So we hosted over 1,000 developers with top speakers coming on, the first good developer in Nigeria, Femi Taiwo was there. We have Tomiwa came all the way from UK. We have Eskid, that is Abati Adewale. We have Rukayat. We have Kolo Des, Mama Shikoda Africa, that is Ada. Then we had Gino Osan from all the way from Buttercourt. Then we have GD Mentor as well, and St. Johnson. So we have an amazing couple of speakers in 2017 to actually made us an amazing year for it. So so I'm super excited that a lot of people were able to connect, and I'm super excited that Nady was also be able to recognize that impact in 2017, and that was amazing for us and our community at large. So as you all know that we been said that GDG Akoko has been one of the most active GDG across Africa, and that's a big shout out for all the way from Oga at the top. That's Nady, the SSA. Father. So we actually have amazing times, and we also know. So over to you. Next question, SK. Next question from you. So we have one person for the winners.
Okay. During the introduction session, what exactly do you use to initiate Google Assistant? Yeah. So if you want to talk to Google Assistant, how do you talk to Google Assistant? What is that phrase or that particular action words that you use to talk to Assistant? Fastest finger. You can just mention about two of those action words. Two of those action words, yeah. 1, 2, 3. Dialog flow. No. 1, 2. Who's there again? All right. I think I have someone answered it correctly. That's correct from Moye. Yeah, from Moye. Okay, Google. Yeah, it's okay, Google. Not dialog flow. Also, you can use a Google. Okay, Google. A Google is the tool. I think, yeah, you could use that to talk to. Whenever you want to start a conversation, you use that to initiate that. So I think let me just give a demo. Hey Google. So here we go. So that's that. So the next question is on Google Cloud platform. Yeah, on Google Cloud platform. What, if you don't want to use virtual machine, what other things do you use to run your app on the Google Cloud platform? If you don't want to use virtual machine, what other technology can you use on Google platform to run your app? 1, 2, fastest finger, very simple. Fastest finger. 1, go. Correct. Containers. Yeah, correct. That's it. So I have the first person to answer Kayode. Yeah, containers. Yeah, you can. Yeah, of course, you can as well use Google App Engine, but containers is still part of what you can use. So containers, basically, you can deploy your container to Google App Engine. Yeah. So if you want to know more about Google Cloud Platform, I'll be sharing my channel on the chat section, so you could subscribe to it. I'll be releasing more videos. Tomorrow I'll be shooting my first video on the channel, and also I'll be releasing more video on Google Cloud Platform, basically, and some other areas of technology that you guys will be requesting video from. Yeah, that I'll be doing basically. So over to you, Slick.
Okay. Thank you everyone for joining this call. And we don't want to take much of a time. We have about few people online. If you know you're online right now, please drop your email. We are giving you for you to be able to stick with us to this moment. So we really appreciate that. So your virtual jollof is automatic, like you are getting it for free. So if you're still on the call right now, so you just want yourself a Flutter Masterclass plus worth 10 USD, and at the same time, you actually, if you are part of a community, we'll be able to actually send you some giveaways like shirts and stickers
when the physical event, physical meetup starts. So congratulations to everyone on this call right now. Please remember to drop your emails on the chat box. You just want yourself a Flutter Masterclass course worth $10. Retrieve it via the link we're going to send to you. So if you're on the call, kindly just get the thing and we're good to go at the same time. So but to everyone who were able to join this conversation, we are getting to the end of this section because of time. We just have 3 minutes left. And big shout out to everyone across Africa, across the globe, across Germany, Spain, Italy, India, everywhere you were able to join us. Czech Republic, amazing countries were joined us during this call. And we have amazing speakers like Aniedi, we have Rachel Nolajo, awesome women technical mentor, ambassadors for Nigerian. Then we have Joshin and a lot of other speakers, which is actually amazing. And Carlo as well, big shout out to you. Thank you for joining. And to amazing moderator, we have one physical, you can see one moderator. SK, this is the screen, big shout out to you. And thanks for anchoring the event at the same time too. So a big shout out to everyone who joined us. Follow us on Twitter at GDG Akoko to get updates on everything you actually want to get on. And tweet at us, send us DM if you have any questions, and we're actually going to reach out to you. Follow me on Twitter or other platforms. Reach out to me at Mitslick on every platform. So you could actually reach out to me on the chat box if you want to see. If you can slide me a DM or do whatever you actually want to do. You can also follow at SK, your moderator, at NightJS Walker, Nightwalker JS on Twitter, and he will be able to answer you as well too on your conversation. So it's actually an amazing time. Stick with the community, be an amazing person, be remarkable, and stay strong. Stronger together is better together. Don't forget that. So that's all for my own side. Kudos to everyone. Over to you, SK. Bye for now from Stick. Cheers.
Thanks, Blake, for the closing remark. I don't know how much I can thank everyone that attended the DevFest Akoko 2020. It can't be possible without you guys. We really appreciate you. Every time we host events, you guys always try as much as possible to attend, no matter how the challenges could be. God bless everyone on the call. And let me just quickly pass this on to Ross. You could share the... I decided to start creating tutorials on Google Cloud Platform and some other technologies I'll be sharing with the community. Yeah, it's not that convenient for me with time, but I want to do this for the community, for everyone. This time, we'll be able to be stronger together and better together by the time we come out of the pandemic, social distancing, and the new vocabularies that we've added, that has been added to our normal terms of vocabulary now. So I'll be sharing more content. Tomorrow I'll be sharing the first video. Basically, it's going to be on introduction, and subsequently I'll be starting with Google Cloud platform. So where I'll be sharing more training, more resources every day, more videos, where we could start from scratch on how you could get started with Google Cloud platform. Of course, I'm still learning, and I'm so sure that I will leverage on other Google developers experts in the community to bring you great content that you could reckon with. Thank you so much, everyone. Thanks for joining us in this in DevFest GDG Akoko 2020. We really love to see you guys next year, and also we want to see you in our subsequent event that will be coming up soon. Thank you so much, and that's all for now. I don't know, so everyone is a winner. Everyone is a winner. Yeah, everyone is going to get palliative. Everyone is going to get giveaway. As you have said, just drop your mail. If you were not able to drop your mail or we couldn't reach out to you via the mail, you could just DM us on Twitter. On Twitter, we will answer you. Just ensure that, okay, you're on the call, and we will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank everyone for joining us. And what we call it, we're drawing the curtain close. And that's all from my own end for now. Bye-bye for now. Bye.